Chapter 36-43. Heart-Protecting Scale. Tangua naturally knew that the most precious and sturdy scale on a dragon was the heart-protecting scale. That's not very good. System, keep it. Don't be hypocritical. He's all bones now, so the heart-protecting scale is useless. I don't need that thing anymore. Take it. It can save your life at a critical moment. I've refined this heart-protecting scale for who knows how many years. It has many uses. Since you've said so, I won't stand on ceremony. No need to stand on ceremony. You've given me a very good cultivation technique. Once I understand it thoroughly and create a suitable cultivation technique for myself, I won't have to fear the celestial world anymore. The power of the stars was not something that those celestial gods could control. If they couldn't control it and couldn't destroy it, it would be their nightmare. Were the rest of your scales taken by those people? Ao Yan's voice was a bit gloomy. Every scale on a dragon is a treasure. My scales, flesh, and dragon tendons were all taken by them. Snatch it back in the future. Whoever peels it from you, chop off their hands. Tangua's words were light as a feather, but it gave Ao Yan great comfort. The bright flames in his eyes seemed to become even brighter. They burned fiercely at Tangua, as if they would never burn out. This is the first time someone told me that they would help me take them back. They even said that they would chop off their hands. Ao Yan's voice was buzzing. As expected, I didn't misjudge you. You're different from them. I didn't give the heart-protecting scale to the wrong person. System, host, you've touched this dragon's bones. Who knows, he might even be willing to stew him in the future. A system should have the awareness of a system. Don't be greedy. System, the next morning, Tangua returned to the island. A few of the boats she tied to the shore were missing. She didn't return to the house. Instead, she put a few more boats on the shore. For the next few days, some boats disappeared every day. It was not until none of the boats had disappeared that she returned to the house. The people who stayed here were all busy with their own things. When they saw Tangua, they hurriedly put down what they were doing and came over to greet her. Sister Xiaogua. Have you all decided not to go out? These women exchanged glances. They had long decided not to return. Their expressions were extremely resolute. They had tried to persuade those who wanted to leave, but they said that this was not their home. Back then, his family had made that choice out of helplessness. After all, the flood in the village had always been very serious. Now that Tangua had told them that the sacrificial Dragon King incident would never happen again, they were no longer afraid. Besides, they were already engaged. They couldn't possibly stay on the island for the rest of their lives and live the life of a hermit, right? No matter how he tried to persuade them, those who were supposed to leave still left. Don't you want to go back and take a look? Let's not think about it anymore. The flood can burn us alive. If there is a famine in the future, they will definitely sell us off without hesitation. One of the women smiled bitterly and said, if we leave these behind, we can see more clearly than them. We can't go back to that place. I'd better bring you back to take a look. I'm not asking you to see your family, but to see what happened to them after they went back. Tangua didn't give them a chance to refute. She threw an invisibility cloak to each of them and then brought them away from the island. Peak. Chapter 36-44. On the way, someone asked Tangua, Sister Xiaogua, you won't throw us back, right? If it's not convenient for Sister Xiaogua to keep us here, please send us to other places. We don't want to go back to the village. I'm just taking you back to have a look. I'll let you come back. Therefore, these people did not say anything more. The Liu family's youngest daughter chose to go back. Tanguo led the group to the Lu family's house first. As soon as they reached the door, they heard the woman's miserable cries and the Lu family scolding. "Well, I was wondering why the Dragon King didn't protect us. It turns out that you ran away. You didn't become the Dragon King's concubine at all. No wonder our family suffered." Tanguo took them to other courtyards. They were all scolding and blaming these women for not dying. If they died, they would become the Dragon King's concubines. They would definitely be protected by the Dragon King. After scolding and scolding, the villagers began to ask these women what had happened. They wanted to hide it, but how could they hide it from the cunning villagers? In the end, they honestly told them what had happened over the past year. A woman standing next to Tanguo said angrily in a low voice, "Sister Xiaoguo helped them and warned them repeatedly. They betrayed you just like that. If they were not afraid of being discovered, they would have started scolding." This kind of ingrate really made them angry. To think that they were once sisters. The villagers' reactions were different. When they heard that it was Tanguo's trick, they remembered the nightmares of these days. They did not dare to cause trouble. When these women left, they brought a lot of food with them. Now, it was all snatched by their families. According to them, there was a lot of food growing on the island. They ate well every meal. The villagers were envious, but they did not dare to snatch the food of the malicious ghost, Tanguo. Therefore, they thought of a way to persuade these women to go back and take it. "Father, mother, Sister Xiaoguo saved my life. Even if she is a ghost, I owe her. I can't do this. My girl, do you really want us to starve to death in the village? Since she saved you and those things were planted by you, what's wrong with going back and taking some? She's just a ghost, so she can't eat these, right?" These women could still hold on for 1 or 2 days. After a few more days, they couldn't bear to eat some unpalatable wild vegetables. Even their families were starving them. In the end, they decided to go back to the island to get some food. The coast was also within the boundaries of Family Tang Village. The Tanguo's restrictions were much larger. Relatively speaking, they were only restricted to Family Tang Village's boundaries. Other than that, they were still relatively free. The villagers sent the women to the beach and hurriedly urged them to go to the island to get food. They didn't dare to go there for fear of angering Tanguo. In their opinion, since Tanguo had saved these women, she must not be angry with them. She would not be calculative with them for taking some things. Unexpectedly, when these women were rowing the boat slowly toward the island, a wave came up from the sea and knocked them and the boat directly onto the coast. They tried several times, but it was the same. These women were also dizzy from the fall. Their bodies were wet as they sat on the shore. They stared blankly at the endless sea and cried bitterly. "Let's go back." Tanguo said to the group of women around her, "You should have no regrets now. I have no regrets a long time ago. I even heard my mother scolding me for being heartless and not being willing to bring delicious food back. I'm dying of laughter. Sister Xiaoguo, I said before that this life is yours. Even if you are a ghost, I will definitely not refuse whatever you ask me to do. What if I want to kill an immortal? Would you dare?" Tanguo jumped onto the boat with them and turned around with a smile. The Peak. Chapter 36-45. These women were only stunned for a moment, then they said very seriously, "We'll do whatever you say. Our lives are yours, whether it's to slaughter gods or immortals. Okay, go back. From today onwards, you need to do another thing. Cultivate the cultivation technique I gave you and prepare to slaughter immortals." Tanguo sent the group of dazed people back to the small island and taught them the cultivation technique. Then, she went to the old dragon palace. "Sister Xiaoguo is really going to slaughter immortals?" "You didn't hear wrongly. Yes, she even taught us the cultivation technique. Sisters, what do you think? What are you thinking about? We already promised Sister Xiaoguo that we'll slaughter immortals. We'll do whatever Sister Xiaoguo says. Did you see those people who went back to the village? I'm so glad that I can stay here. Also, I have a feeling that Sister Xiaoguo is hiding something from us. It has something to do with the slaughter of immortals that she mentioned. Why are you thinking so much? We just have to do as Sister Xiaoguo says. She saved us and even let us live in such a beautiful house. She doesn't bully us. It's only right that we use our lives to do something for her. The women who were originally self-sufficient on the island had another task every day. Other than being busy eating, drinking, and going to the toilet, the rest of the time was used to cultivate the cultivation technique Tangguo taught them. Those women who were bewitched by the villagers to go to the island to get food were now lying limp on the shore, sobbing silently. They stared blankly at the rising mist on the surface of the sea. They had experienced many things on this sea. In their despair, they had gone to a small island that was like a fairyland. They were hesitant and couldn't bear to part with their families, so they left that fairyland. Now, it was impossible for them to go back. Only they understood what they had missed out on by making their choice. They lay limp on the shore, their faces full of confusion and despair. It was as if they couldn't hear the cursing in their ears. The villagers saw that they seemed to be possessed and could only drag them back to the village. They scolded them along the way, saying that they were useless things. Those whose daughters didn't go home kept scolding those unfilial and ungrateful people. All of this had nothing to do with Tangguo. She had set up a barrier around the family Tang village. No one was allowed to leave, and anyone who came in would get lost. Right now, she didn't need to do anything else. She just needed to wait for Tang Shui and Fu Qing to return. Before that, she had to go to the 18th level of the underworld and meet with that important figure. Be careful. There are countless capable people in the underworld. Don't expose yourself. Ao Yen warned. If you're discovered, run away immediately. You don't have to worry. I have a magic treasure in my hands. As long as I don't take the initiative to expose myself, they won't be able to discover me. Although each world's immortal realm was somewhat different, things like magic treasures, the higher the level, the less likely it was to be discovered by others. Qi Xiao was a powerful master refiner. He was now a top figure in the immortal world. That place didn't have all kinds of restrictions like here. The magic treasures refined there would definitely be more and more powerful. Tangguo put on the invisibility cloak, opened the passage to the underworld, and disappeared in front of Ao Yen. The flames in Ao Yan's eyes continued to stare at the spot where she disappeared. They flickered, and he had no intention of moving away. After a long time, Ao Yen muttered a complicated incantation. Not long after, a voice sounded in his ear. Ao Yen. Why are you contacting me this time? Is there a situation? Is there a movement in the immortal world? Peak. Chapter 3646. Uncle Kong, how are you doing in the underworld? It's all right. It's just that I hear the cries of ghosts and howls of wolves every day. It's a bit noisy, but nothing major. My days are quite comfortable. What's the matter over there? Ao Yen, nothing much. No, there's something. I made a new friend. She just opened a passage to the underworld and plans to go there for a walk. I'm looking for Uncle Kong this time because if she's in danger, I need your help to take care of her. You made a new friend and still want to go to the underworld for a walk. Ao Yen, did you sleep for too long and your brain isn't clear? You're the last dragon. Although you're only left with a pair of bones, you're still the last dragon. Ao Yen, don't go crazy. If you go crazy and become stupid, the dragons will go extinct. Uncle Kong, I really made a new friend. You really made a friend? The Peacock Emperor was silent for a while before asking, then why did she come to the underworld? What's her identity? She can open a passage to the underworld. She's definitely not an ordinary person. She went to the 18th level to find someone. She's not an enemy. She has a grudge with the celestial realm. Previously, she was schemed against by the celestial realm. She peeked into heaven's secrets and grasped a chance of survival. She even helped me and gave me a mystical cultivation technique. Although Ao Yen said it simply, the Peacock Emperor still understood. Since that's the case, I'll help keep an eye on her. I'm on the 12th level. I don't know where she is. Let me inform the other old fellows and have them keep an eye on her. Thank you, Uncle Kong. No need to thank me. Cultivate well. We don't know how long it will take to attack the celestial realm, overthrow the celestial emperor's rule, and avenge our dead clansmen. Hearing the Peacock Emperor's downcast voice, Ao Yen didn't know how to comfort him. He could only sigh softly. In order to consolidate his position, the celestial emperor killed countless spiritual creatures. Many ancient races suffered because of this and declined to the point where they were bullied by the people of the mortal realm. Tang Gui's trip to the underworld was relatively smooth. When she arrived, she wore the invisibility cloak and wandered in front of some ghost soldiers and ghost generals. They really couldn't see her. She made up her mind and decided to go down level by level. Since no one saw her, there was no trouble. Just as she was about to descend to the first level, she heard two ghost generals talking and paused for a moment. This matter is indeed a little strange. Even the infernal judge himself can't figure it out. I never thought that such a task would fall on us. Since Sir has already given the order, let's go up and see what's going on with the family Tang village. They're clearly people who are about to die, so why are there still so many of them alive? Let's go and check out the situation first before coming back to report to the judge. Upon hearing these two sentences, Tang Gua immediately dismissed the idea of going to the other levels of the underworld. Instead, she went to the place where the judges were. Perhaps Hell would never have imagined that someone would be able to sneak in so easily without being discovered. Tang Gua easily found the judge who was staring at the Book of Life and Death in a daze. This infernal judge was indeed as rumored. He had a ferocious appearance, and at first glance, he was somewhat frightening. He didn't seem like a good person. However, after taking a closer look, although his eyes were a little fierce, the aura on his body was very peaceful. He placed the Book of Life and Death on the table and frowned as he flipped to the family Tang village page. Tang Gua stood at the side and glanced at it. The names of the family Tang village were densely written on it. Strange. Strange. I remember receiving a reminder from the Book of Life and Death last time. There will be a village where thousands of people will die at the same time. Their souls won't be preserved. Peak. Chapter 36-47. Counting the days, it's almost time. Why did these people's lives change so much? The judge was very puzzled. This Book of Life and Death often changes. It's really puzzling that it can change so much at once. There are actually people whose names have disappeared from it, and so many of them have disappeared. They are all women who are not even in their 20s. This is a little strange. The judge looked worried. Could it be that something big will happen in the human world? I don't know if the messengers of Hell will be able to find out anything. The judge shook his head. It's better to ask His Majesty the King of Hell about this matter. Tang Guo found that in the Book of Life and Death, her name in family Tang village, and the name of the woman she brought to the island to cultivate, were not there. The names of the others, including her parents, Tang Shushan and his wife, and her brother, Tang Yao, were all there. However, after their names, it was recorded that they were born in a certain time period. When it was recorded that they died, the rest of the time was unknown. In other words, for some reason, the Book of Life and Death did not show when they would die. Tang Guo saw the judge flipping through the front and the other places. The others had detailed records of when and how they died, except for family Tang village. After thinking for a while, she understood why. It was her, an outsider, who changed their lives. She, who cultivated the power of the stars, was not in the control of the Book of Life and Death at all. This should be considered a loophole in the Book of Life and Death. The people of Family Tang Village were trapped by her in Family Tang Village. When they died, the Book of Life and Death could not calculate it for the time being. Seeing the judge pick up the Book of Life and Death to see the King of Hell in confusion, Tang Guo quickly followed. After a while, Tang Guo followed the judge and saw the King of Hell, who controlled the entire underworld. In this world, there were no 10 kings of hell and 4 judges. There was only 1 king of hell and 1 judge. As far as she knew, the King of Hell was the first king of hell. He had existed for a long time and should be from the same era as the Celestial Emperor. Although the judge had been in office for 1,000 years, he was indeed a new one. The judge took the Book of Life and Death and told the King of Hell about the matter. Your Majesty, I have sent the messengers of hell up to check the situation. All the messengers of hell have gone up. I don't think so. The sun is too bright during the day, and they're not used to it. They'll go up at midnight. Since that's the case, there's no need to investigate. The King of Hell looked like a middle-aged man. He didn't look as fierce as the legend said. Instead, he looked somewhat benevolent. The underworld is only in charge of ghosts. Only the dead are under the jurisdiction of the underworld. Since he's not dead, the changes in the Book of Life and Death have nothing to do with the underworld. Tianji has already told you. If the Family Tang Village's matters are the same as what's in the Book of Life and Death, then don't get involved. The judge's expression turned serious, and he couldn't help but ask, with such a huge change, will there be any trouble in the human world? Also, the names of the 10 or so girls who disappeared, they are all less than 20 years old. Since they're not in the Book of Life and Death of the underworld, there's even less reason for us to ask about them. There's no need to bother. The King of Hell glanced at the judge who was still standing at the side in a dilemma. He stood up and patted him on the shoulder, whispering, "Little judge, are you stupid? Even if there's any change, it should be the Celestial Emperor's problem. The underworld is only in charge of ghosts. As long as it's not a mistake made by the underworld, aren't you afraid of getting back in trouble if you rush over?" The sudden change in the King of Hell's tone caught the Tang Guo off guard. The Peak. Chapter 36-48. The judge's face was still serious, as if he didn't feel anything strange about Yama's tone. So the underworld can ignore this. It doesn't matter. Just follow the instructions in the Book of Life and Death. If there are no instructions in the Book of Life and Death, you don't have to do anything else. I understand. Then Your Majesty, I will go and do my work. Go. King Yama waved his hand at the judge with a smile on his face. After the judge left, King Yama's smile deepened. He sat on his throne and faintly said, "It seems like the heavens are about to change. The Book of Life and Death has undergone such a huge change a long time ago. I wonder what will happen when the weather changes this time around." There were some things that Yama couldn't understand. He held his chin and narrowed his eyes. The name disappeared from the Book of Life and Death. Could it be that the name has transcended the 3 realms and is no longer under the jurisdiction of the Sky Emperor? This is interesting. If the Sky Emperor knows, I'm afraid he won't be able to rest in peace. I have to keep this a secret. I can't let the Sky Emperor know in advance. Yama thought of this and quickly stood up and chased after the judge. The little judge is too naive. Let's talk to him again. Tanguo heard a message from Yama's mouth. That is, he won't care about anything other than the underworld. The changes in the outside world have nothing to do with him. And just now, he was talking to himself. Didn't he find it strange? He might have found me. When Tanguo said this to the system was a little surprised. Host, is this Yama so powerful? This is his territory. Even if he can't find where I am or catch me, he must have sensed something. Do you think that a person would recite what he or she was thinking in his or her room and express his or her position in such a complete manner? Maybe he doesn't know where I am, but he must have calculated something. So it seems that Yama won't interfere in this matter. He is in charge of the underworld. He is in charge of the ghosts in the human world and the underworld. It doesn't affect the interests of the Sky Emperor. He just needs to do his own thing. No matter what happens above, it has nothing to do with him. I didn't expect this invisibility cloak to be able to fool anyone. After all, there's always someone better out there. The fact that they turned a blind eye to my actions and didn't stop me from roaming the underworld and pretended not to know anything means that they don't want to make an enemy out of me. I don't want to have another enemy. Let's go and meet that person first. We'll leave once we meet him. King of Hell, thank you very much this time. After a long while, a voice sounded in Yama's ear. I don't know what kind of magic treasure she used. If it wasn't for my innate ability, I might not have been able to discover her. What are you thanking me for? I just feel that the underworld is a little cramped for all of you. You've been freeloading in the underworld for so many years. Not only are you taking up space, you're also acting like a big boss. It's really annoying. Yama said, Brother Kong, your only chance of survival is here. Actually, even if you didn't tell me about this, I had already sensed it before and even made a special divination. Previously, I didn't think that you would be able to make a comeback. However, half a year ago, I did another divination. You were originally in a dead end, but now, someone has opened up a path for you. If my guess isn't wrong, it's that woman just now. Right, did you see her just now? Peek. Chapter 36-49. I didn't see it, but I smelled it. Have you forgotten who I am? Few living people's auras can escape my nose. You have a talent, do you think I don't? No wonder, generation after generation of heavenly emperors, the human world has been living for hundreds of years, but you, the King of Hell, have always been here. You still know how to calculate. The King of Hell laughed. What do you mean this king knows how to calculate? This king likes to stay in this small place, only managing the ghosts of the human world and the underworld. Who would want to stay in such a gloomy place for no reason? I'm too lazy to talk to you. Since you've already calculated that our chance of survival is in the hands of that girl, I'm going to talk to those old guys and tell them to protect that girl. Come on, if you want to protect others, why don't you look at yourself first? Friends are friends, but if you want to escape, you have to think of a way. I know, we won't make things difficult for you. Don't worry, when we leave, we'll beat you up first. This way, even if we fail, you won't be implicated. When the time comes, we won't be merciful and will make you lie in bed for half a month. Old friend, don't blame us for being ruthless. After all, we don't want to implicate you, right? Scram. She went to the 18th floor. The King of Hell suddenly said. The Peacock Emperor was surprised. The 18th floor. Is she related to the one on the 18th floor? I can't say for sure. Tanguo finally arrived at the 18th floor, but she didn't know that the Peacock Emperor had already gathered his old friends to discuss her in the underworld. The 18th floor here was different from what she imagined. It was very narrow, and there was only one person locked up here. It was a white-haired old man. There were no restraints on his body, and there were no restrictions around him. In her memory, the other party seemed to be unable to leave, but she didn't know why. When Tanguo just stepped into the 18th floor, she felt a gaze fall on her. She looked up and saw an old man sitting in the corner. The other party's eyes looked a little turbid, as if he really was an old man. Ha 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 ha, the old man suddenly laughed loudly. From this voice, Tanguo heard some of the other party's emotions, refreshing and happy. A new law is about to be born. The old man looked at Tanguo meaningfully. Tanguo also revealed herself. The old man was not surprised at all. When she saw the old man, Tanguo understood that they would not become enemies. Senior. Tanguo wasn't sure what the other party knew, but judging from the current situation, there shouldn't be anything wrong with calling him senior. The old man studied Tanguo for a while. Suddenly, a book appeared in his hand. He handed the book to Tanguo. Tanguo didn't know why, but she still took it. When she saw the two words on the cover of the book, she was a little stunned. Heavenly Rules. Her hand couldn't help but tremble. She felt that she was about to find out a secret. She turned to the first page. It was blank. The second page was also blank. The third page, the fourth page. The rest of the pages were all blank. Tanguo looked at the old man in confusion. The old man stroked his beard and smiled. How about you write the heavenly rules? Tanguo's hand trembled. She suddenly felt that she had a background in this world. She was going to write the heavenly rules. This was the first time she had encountered something like this after transmigrating to many worlds. She could write the heavenly rules. The Apex. Chapter 3650. This book can't be written with a normal pen. The Sky Emperor has a pen that specializes in writing heavenly rules. If you defeat him and snatch that pen, you can write heavenly rules. Hearing this, Tanguo returned the book. Wait until I defeat the Sky Emperor, then I'll come and get it from you. It won't be good if it's snatched and destroyed. Don't worry, I have as many of these as I want. With that, the old man waved his sleeve, and countless books with the words, Heavenly Rules, appeared on the ground. The old man was surrounded by such books, like a rich tycoon. If it wasn't for the fact that he looked unfathomable, Tanguo would have thought that he was just a wholesaler. Senior, why don't you snatch that pen back and write heavenly rules yourself? This was something that Tanguo didn't understand. This old man didn't look like he was bound here by someone. The old man seemed to know that Tanguo would ask this question. He stroked his beard, shook his head, and said, I can't write it. I can't hold that pen, touch it, or get it. The moment you walked into the underworld, I calculated the future. The only chance of survival for this world is in your hands. If you don't succeed, I don't know how long it will take for the heavenly rules to change. Perhaps, even when this world is destroyed, that day might not come. Fortunately, you're here. Seeing that the old man wasn't willing to say more, Tanguo didn't ask any more questions. She took an empty book and left. This old man had so many books, he wasn't afraid of them being destroyed. Actually, once they fell into her hands, it was basically impossible to destroy them. She just thought that it was a little sudden for such an important thing to fall into her hands. Tanguo returned to the old site of the underworld dragon palace without any obstructions. How was it? Seeing that she returned safely, Ao Yen didn't know why, but he heaved a sigh of relief. Did you encounter any trouble? No, Everything went smoothly. Tang Guo briefly recounted what she heard. The King of Hell might have noticed me, but he didn't say anything. He knows about the abnormality in the family Tang village, but he doesn't intend to interfere. Ao Yan was not surprised at all. Instead, he said, King Yama will not participate in the battle for the immortal realm. He only cares about ghosts and the underworld. This is his style. It was all thanks to King Yanluo's care that my friends and seniors were able to live comfortably in the underworld. However, I am not very familiar with him. Actually, Ao Yan had found these things in the memories of the Dragon Tribe Senior. One of the reasons why the Dragon Clan was feared by the Heavenly Emperor was that the inheritance of the Dragon Clan was not something that the Heavenly Emperor could control at all. You said that the 18th level expert asked you to snatch a brush from the Sky Emperor and write heavenly rules. When Ao Yan heard this, he was especially surprised. The flames in his eyes seemed to burn even more vigorously. You really are a ray of hope. Ao Yan, do you know who the senior on the 18th floor is? Tang Guo was curious about the other party's identity. She could vaguely guess, but she was not sure. Ao Yan shook his head. I don't know. Before the Dragon Clan met with trouble, he was already there. I once heard the seniors of the Dragon Clan mention him. I only know that he is very powerful. I don't know why he is locked in the 18th level of the underworld and has never planned to come out. In short, he is an existence that cannot be provoked. As long as he doesn't appear, even the Heavenly Emperor can't do anything to him. Why, do you have any guesses? Some, I'm not sure yet, but it's not important. Ao Yan, cultivate. The peak. Chapter 3651. Tang Guo waved the blank book in her hand. When we're strong, we'll go to the immortal world and snatch a pen to write heavenly rules. We'll return justice to the Dragon Clan and me. Ao Yan's heart surged with excitement. He hurriedly nodded. Okay. When I'm successful in my cultivation, I'll be your mount. System, what made a proud dragon lower his head and be willing to be someone's mount? Was it the loss of morality or the distortion of human nature? No, it was neither. It was the strength of restrictions and the greatness of love. However, when the time came, he had to remind his host to place a soft cushion. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, 10 years had passed. The women on the island had also grown from their teens to their 20s. From their initial confusion to their current determination. From being ordinary people to being able to fly in the sky and burrow into the ground. Even without the help of any tools, they could still float freely on the sea. With their powerful cultivation, they also discovered that Tang Guo was not a ghost but a real person. Tang Guo had saved their lives, recognized their worth, and nurtured them. Thus, they did not care whether she was a human or a ghost. From the moment they embarked on this path, they swore in their hearts that if Tang Guo wanted them to kill immortals, they would kill immortals. Family Tang Village's reputation as a ghost village had already spread to many places. Anyone who wanted to enter Family Tang Village would get lost and fall into an illusion. In the illusion, they would become a member and see the scene of the village sacrificing young girls to the Dragon King. However, it was different from the original plot. Whether it was those who resisted or those who advocated, Tang Guo did not intend to leave them behind. She also did not kill them. Those who opposed the sacrifice would be safely sent out by the array. As for those who advocated and remained silent, they would encounter another illusion. In the illusion, they would become young girls who were sacrificed to the Dragon King. They would go through all kinds of pain and despair before being released. My reputation has been ruined by you. Every time someone entered Family Tang Village on purpose or by accident, they would encounter this. Ao Yen saw that the Dragon King was always a bad guy who ate young girls and could not stand it anymore. He was the last dragon. Although all that was left was a pile of bones, he was still a dragon and could be considered a Dragon King. Every time, although he did not show up in the dreamland, the impression of the Dragon King in these people's minds was that of a lecherous and ferocious man. Wasn't his reputation ruined? I'll help you clear your name in the future. Tang Guo smiled and reached out to touch Ao Yan's head. Ao Yan had already completely comprehended the cultivation technique and created one that he could cultivate. Due to the rapid improvement of his cultivation, every bone on his dragon body was as beautiful as jade. It felt good to the touch. If a piece of it were to fall, it would probably be treated as a priceless treasure. You must remember these words. I am not a lecherous dragon. Ever since I was born, I have been cultivating seriously. I had just conferred the title of Dragon Crown Prince when the Dragon Clan suffered a calamity. I did not marry the Dragon King consort. Once this matter is over, you have to help me announce this matter to avoid any misunderstandings. Ao Yen reminded her seriously. Tang Guo held back her smile and agreed. System, is this dragon a fool? This stupid dragon will definitely regret it. If he did not clear his name, wouldn't he have a Dragon King consort? Wouldn't it be fine as long as he admitted to marrying the Dragon King consort? Tang Shushan and his wife lived a good life in the village. Tang Guo would accompany them to eat when she was free. She was also the one who delivered the letters that Tang Yao sent back home. Peak. Chapter 3652. Therefore, although the two of them had been living in the isolated family Tang village, they knew about what was going on outside. They did not tell him about the family Tang village. Nowadays, the family Tang village was still suffering from all kinds of natural disasters. Especially floods. Whenever summer came, floods would come non-stop. It was as if God was determined to make trouble here. Because of Tang Guo's intervention, family Tang village became a ghost village. There would still be floods. The rumor that young girls sacrificing to the Dragon King could appease the Dragon King and prevent floods from happening was debunked. Those who heard this rumor would not choose to sacrifice young girls to the Dragon King. It saved them from using such a foolish method. The people of family Tang village lived a miserable life in the village, but they did not dare to cause trouble in the Tang Shushan couple's courtyard. Every year, when there was a flood, they could not help but beat up the married women who returned to family Tang village to vent their anger. The people in the village blamed them. They thought that the Dragon King did not protect the village because they ran away. At first, these women cried and shouted. They even went to the shore to call Tang Guo and begged her to take them away. Later, when they saw that Tang Guo did not waver and ignored them, their attitude changed. They began to resent Tang Guo for not helping them. Every time they were wronged, they would go to the shore and curse Tang Guo. When the remaining women on the island heard these words, they were furious. They wanted to teach them a lesson, but they were stopped by Tang Guo. Sister Xiaoguo, they are too much. It was their own choice. Now that they made the wrong choice and blamed it on you, I can't stand it anymore. I can't stand it either. What kind of people are they? If it weren't for Sister Xiaoguo, they would have been burned to death by that fire. Tang Guo only smiled. We are going to do great things. Why bother with them? They have just become the same people in the village. Let them scold them. Scolding them won't change the fact. She was not the Guanyin Bodhisattva who could be merciful and save all living beings. What made Tang Guo not know whether to laugh or cry was that the villagers had thought of a way to pretend to tie these women up and put them on the boat. They wanted to force Tang Guo to give in and rescue them back to the island. They thought that since Tangua had saved them once, she would definitely be able to save them a second time. She couldn't just watch them burn to death. However, they were not afraid of death. The rope that tied them up was not really tied up, but rather, it was loose. After all, they didn't want to die. At that time they were put on the boat for the second time, and a fire was lit around them. However, Tangua did not appear again that time. She just let the raging fire burn. Tangua was in the Dragon Palace at the bottom of the sea. She was talking to Ao Yen and did not care about what was happening above. They probably think I'm a very kind person. Ao Yen asked, isn't it? Look at how indifferent I am now. Do I look like one? They are still waiting for you. If they are really burned to death. Ao Yen also felt that these mortals were very annoying. If it were him, he would probably spit out a mouthful of dragon's breath and drown them all. He would show them what a dragon's aura was. If they are burned to death, I will help them release their souls and send them to the underworld. Ao Yen actually did not understand what kind of person and what kind of experience she had to be able to say such cold words with a smile. Of course, in the end, those women broke free from the ropes and jumped into the sea. They swam desperately back to the shore. Peak. Chapter 36:53. When they swam to the shore, white fog rose from the sea. They could vaguely see a woman in red rowing a small boat further and further away until she disappeared from their sight. She's too cruel. She actually left us to die. I misjudged her. Later on, whenever these women were unhappy with their weddings, they would scold Tangua on the shore. But after scolding, they would have to go back to work like cattle and horses, being ostracized by the villagers. It was really laughable. Say, why don't they run away? The current Dragon Palace had already been cleaned up by Tangua. Although it could not be compared to the past Dragon Palace's splendor, it no longer looked like a pile of ruins. She sat on a stone bench, holding her chin and holding a wine cup with one hand. If they want to run, they can leave the village. I left a path for them. Why are you thinking so much? What kind of wine do you make? It tastes pretty good. Can you pour me a cup? This is plum blossom wine. I have a lot. You're all bones now, can you drink it? Tangua glanced at Ao Yen suspiciously. The flames in his eyes flickered with desire. I think it's a bit of a waste to give it to you. The plum blossoms in this plum blossom wine were taken from the body of an old monster who had cultivated for who knows how many years. It's quite precious. System, that's right. In order to chase his wife, that old monster gave up all of his stock. Every time his main body bloomed, he would quickly pluck the most beautiful plum blossoms and give it to a certain someone for her to choose. When he heard that she liked the taste of the plum blossom wine, he used all of the remaining plum blossoms to make wine. Even his good friends Old Man Shua and Second Mang found it difficult to ask for a cup. It won't be a waste. Although I don't have flesh, the wine can still soak into my bones and I can still taste it. Tangua poured a cup for Ao Yen, only to see Ao Yen grow a dragon claw, grab the small cup, and send it to his dragon head. The wine really soaked into his bones, not a single drop spilled on the ground. This wine is very delicious. I like it. Did you make it? No, that old monster made it and gave it to me. When Tangua thought of this, she could not help but glance at the inventory in the system space. Mei Hanbai had been brewing wine all this time and had given all of it to her. He even said that in the future, when he took a sip, he would be able to recall that this was his taste. What a proud and pretentious great demon. Ao Yen silently glanced at the wine jug and subconsciously asked, "What demon is that?" "A plum tree. Is it a man or a woman?" Ao Yen suddenly reacted. You've always been in the family Tang village. How did you meet that demon? Male. It happened in my previous life. I have memories of my previous life. To be able to give you this kind of plum blossom wine, your relationship must not be ordinary. Ao Yen did not know why, but the more he spoke, the more uncomfortable he felt. No wonder she could take out so many good things. It turned out that she had awakened the memories of her previous life. In that case, she should not have been a simple person in her previous life. Otherwise, how could she have the ability to fight against the Celestial Emperor? It was not ordinary. We became Dao companions later on. Tang Gua said with a smile. Crack, the wine cup in Ao Yen's dragon claw shattered. He hurriedly said, I can't control the power to take these small items. I have many treasures. You can choose what you like. As a dragon, how could he not have treasures? They were all in his life space. Peak. Chapter 36-54. He poured out all the things inside. The shiny treasures piled up like a mountain. He even used the dragon's head to push all the good-looking things in front of Tang Gua. You choose. System, it's a bit sudden. Tang Gua, it's a bit. What was the meaning of a bone dragon suddenly taking out all of its treasures for you to choose from? If not for the Sky Emperor's scheme, the treasures in the Dragon Palace would be thousands of times more than here. He had hidden these treasures for many years and had never thought of taking them out. Why not? Tang Gua, my cup is worthless. I broke it, so I have to compensate you. You choose. Tang Gua didn't hold back anymore. The treasures here were especially dazzling. After jumping around and choosing, she finally found something that didn't shine. Just as she picked it up, Ao Yen said, That's my dragon horn. Do you like it? Tang Gua's hand trembled slightly. She was about to put down the dragon horn. Dragon horn, forget it. She hadn't noticed it before. It was probably because a small part of the dragon horn had been chopped off and wasn't preserved properly. It was a bit dull. She just felt that the shape was special, so she picked it up to take a look. This dragon horn was chopped off by someone. It might have accidentally mixed into this pile of treasures. If you like it, you can take it. Forget it. It's not good. System, what's not good about it? Just take it. He's giving it to you sincerely. Do you think this dragon horn isn't beautiful? It's because it's not nourished by flesh and blood that it's dull. If you drip a bit of your blood on it, it'll become very beautiful. Those in the celestial world all say that dragon horn stew is very nourishing. Just one bite of the dragon horn of a dragon with a bloodline like mine can raise one's cultivation by 100 years. Ao Yen said indifferently, I don't know if my other dragon horn was stewed and eaten. After he was stripped of his flesh and blood, the dragon horn was no longer connected to him. There was no use in keeping it. Wearing the dragon horn can also clear the mind and remove distracting thoughts when you're in meditation. It's very beneficial for you humans. Ao Yen, you don't look like a dragon now. Instead, you look like someone who slayed a dragon. You're here to sell the treasures on the dragon's body. You don't like dragon horns. You picked it up without picking anything, so you should like it. Wait for me to cast a spell on it, and it will become a gift from me to you. My old friends won't mistake you for a dragon slayer. Ignoring Tang Gua, Ao Yen had already done so. In addition, he also found a good-looking chain and passed it through the dragon's horn to make a necklace. He hung it around Tang Gua's neck, drip a little blood on it. Tang Gua did not refuse and did as she was told. When the blood dripped onto the dragon horn, the originally dull dragon horn instantly became sparkling and translucent like a priceless treasure. It even emitted a gentle light. The aura on it was indeed very refreshing. Ao Yen, I will help you take back the treasures that belong to your dragon clan and your body parts. Tang Gui stroked Ao Yan's head. She didn't know if Ao Yen was used to it, but he subconsciously lowered his head, as if to make it easier for her to stroke him. All right. Ao Yen thought of something. Is your Dao companion from your previous life here? Not anymore. Well, not anymore means that the fate between you two is over. This life is a new beginning. Tang Gui nodded, you're right. Let bygones be bygones, and this life is a new beginning. It's good that you understand. Ao Yan's voice was somewhat joyful. In fact, there are many good wines hidden in the Dragon Palace. If you like, wait for me to dig them out. This year, the originally peaceful Qin Yan Kingdom had all kinds of natural disasters for several months in a row. This time, it was not only in remote places, but everywhere. It could be a flood in the south, a drought in the north, or locusts, a famine, and even a small-scale epidemic in some places. What made the people of Qin Yan Kingdom suffer was not a war, but a natural disaster bestowed upon them by God. The Emperor of Qin Yan Kingdom was also badly battered and did not know what to do. At this time, Tang Shui and the Crown Prince had a dream at the same time. The Peak. Chapter 3655. After Tang Shui escaped from family Tang village, things did not go well. She suffered a lot along the way and even almost died. Just as she was about to die, she met Crown Prince Fu Qing, who was out of the palace. After being rescued by Fu Qing, she became Fu Chang's personal palace maid. What kind of woman had Fu Qing not seen before? At first, he did not have any feelings for Tang Shui but as they got along, he was gradually attracted to Tang Shui But because he was the Crown Prince of Qin Yan Kingdom, it was almost impossible for him to marry Tang Shui as the Crown Princess. But Tang Shui had endless adventures and even hooked up with a big shot to become her backer. In the end, the two got together as they wished. Tang Shui became the Crown Princess as a commoner. But because of her identity, many people were still dissatisfied. Moreover, Fu Qing, the Crown Prince, had other brothers. In the palace, it was normal to fight against each other. Some people around Fu Qing also thought that Tang Shui was not worthy of being the Crown Princess and made things difficult for her. Fu Cheng's opponents thought that Tang Shui was ruining their plans and was Fu Cheng's weakness. They must get rid of her. But somehow, Tang Shui became braver and braver. Those things that made things difficult for her were solved by her in the end and became her credit. Even though many people were dissatisfied with her, the Emperor of Qin Yan Kingdom and the Crown Prince were satisfied with her. Now that Qin Yan Kingdom had suffered natural disasters year after year, there were all kinds of rumors about whether Qin Yan Kingdom had offended the heavens and wanted to destroy Qin Yan Kingdom. The Emperor of Qin Yan Kingdom was in a terrible state and sent a message to the Crown Prince and the Crown Princess to see him. Fu Qing and Tang Shui went to see the Emperor mainly because they had the same dream last night. Things were strange, and now there were natural disasters everywhere. They would rather believe it was true and go to family Tang village to take a look. When Tang Shui heard about family Tang village, she had planned to go back. Now that she was the Crown Princess, the people in the village could not make things difficult for her if she brought more people back. Thinking about why she escaped and experienced all this, Tang Shui also thought that it was time to go back. The two reported the situation to the Emperor, saying that there was an immortal guiding them and the crux of all this was family village. At this time, the two of them were willing to solve the problem. Although the Emperor was a little worried, he was still very happy. Most importantly, he also had a dream last night, but it was different from the other two. Instead, there was a voice that told him that if he wanted to break out of this situation, he still needed the crown prince and the crown princess. Now that he heard that the two of them had received guidance, the emperor naturally hoped to resolve this matter as soon as possible. Just like that, Tang Shui and Fu Qing immediately set off for family Tang village. Accompanying them was an imperial envoy appointed by the emperor. The reason was that when the emperor heard that the family Tang village was already a paradise, he wondered if there was some grievance that had happened here. That was why the heavens had directed his capable son and daughter-in-law to resolve it. This imperial envoy was a new top scorer many years ago. Back then, he had been sent to a certain place to be a county magistrate. It was said that he was loved and respected by the people there, and was praised as an honest and upright official. Take the natural disasters that happened all over the country as an example. This county magistrate had the foresight to minimize the impact of the disaster. With such a talent, the emperor had decided to transfer him back. It just so happened that he was still thinking about how to promote him. Now that this matter had happened, the emperor thought that it would be better to let him be an imperial envoy and accompany the crown prince, so that there would be someone to advise. The Apex. Chapter 3656. Of course, Tang Yao was happy when he received this mission. He had worked hard for so many years so that he could one day have the right to speak in front of the emperor and seek justice for his sister who was burned alive by the villagers back then. Especially after witnessing the officialdom for so many years, he knew that some officials were deeply involved, and it would not be easy to solve them. He already knew about the rumor that family Tang village was a gang. The reason why he was not in a hurry to go back and check was because of the letters from Tang Shushan and his wife. From the letters, he could tell that they were doing well. He sent someone to break into family Tang village. When the person who returned told him what happened, he did not want to rush back to family Tang village. He vaguely guessed something. Otherwise, how could his parents live peacefully in family Tang village for so many years? This time, when he was sent back openly, Tang Yao knew that his chance to avenge his sister had come. Over the years, through letters, Tang Shushan had told his father about how he was stopped by the county magistrate when he tried to seek justice for his daughter. He even told his father about how Lu Mulan was almost humiliated. Therefore, when Tang Yao went back this time, not only did he want to redress his sister's name, but he also wanted to investigate the county magistrate. He had gradually gotten hold of some evidence about the county magistrate over the years. He was just waiting for the right time. After Tang Yao became the top scorer in the imperial examination, the emperor did not keep him in the capital because of his ambitious essay about serving the country and the people. Instead, he was sent to a very poor county town. This was a test for Tang Yao. If he succeeded, he would be further appreciated by the emperor and have a meteoric rise. If he failed, his official career would be difficult because he had no background. He might be stuck in that small county town forever. As such, over the years, he had been working hard to manage that small county, developing it to its current prosperity. The emperor was shocked by his achievements and admired him greatly. Therefore, Tang Yao had never met the current crown princess, Tang Shui. On the first day of their trip to family Tang village, Tang Yao and Tang Shui met. Although more than 10 years had passed and the two of them had changed a lot, they still recognized each other at first glance. When Tang Yao saw Tang Shui, his face first darkened, then he sighed. Speaking of which, Tang Shui, was not to be blamed for this. It was those ignorant people in the village and that Taoist priest called Qing Hong. Tang Shui, was just running for her life. Although there was still some concern in his heart, Tang Yao did not intend to blame Tang Shui, for this matter. It was said that the crown princess was very capable. This time, they were going back to their hometown to solve the problem. Tang Shui wasn't the one who caused all the trouble in the past. This time, he only needed to seek justice for his sister and punish the corrupt official in the county. That way, my sister's soul should be able to reincarnate, right? Lord Tang. Crown Prince Consort. Tang Shui finally found a chance to talk to Tang Yao. She looked at Tang Yao with a complicated expression. It's been so many years. I didn't expect to see Lord Tang again at a time like this. Tang Yao nodded lightly. This subject also didn't expect that you were Her Highness the Crown Princess. I don't know how the village is doing. Tang Shui undoubtedly hated the family Tang village. If she had not escaped, she would not be where she was today. She would have been burned to death by the villagers. No matter what, I have to thank Master Tang for not calling the villagers. Otherwise, I would not have been able to escape. Vertex. Chapter 3657. Crown Princess, you don't have to thank me. I already regret this. Tang Yao thought of what happened to his sister. Although it had been more than 10 years, he still felt terrible. If I could go back in time, I wouldn't have done that. It was said that saving a life was better than building a 7-story pagoda. If this cost his sister's life, he would rather be an unforgivable person. What was wrong with being a bad person? At least he could protect his sister. Even if he had to suffer in hell for the rest of his life, he was willing to do so. Although he couldn't blame Tang Shui for this, he still couldn't let it go. Tang Shui looked at Tang Yao in confusion. She was really grateful. When she escaped from the village and passed by the family Tang courtyard, she happened to see Tang Yao enjoying the shade at the door. If it was someone else who saw her, they would definitely shout for the villagers to come out and catch her. However, Tang Yao only glanced at her and looked away as if he didn't see anything. That was why she had the chance to escape. I don't know why Lord Tang would say such a thing. After you left, you didn't go back to the family Tang village, right? Tang Shui shook her head. Since the day she escaped, she had never thought of going back. Her mother died when she was young. If she had a stepmother, she would have a stepfather. Her life in the village had never been easy. Even if they didn't sacrifice her to the Dragon King, her future wouldn't be good. I don't know what happened after that. Please tell me, Lord Tang. Tang Shui was as polite as possible to her savior. If she owed him because of this, she would find a way to make it up to him. The day after you left, they didn't give up on sacrificing to the Dragon King. In the end, they chose another woman by drawing lots. Seeing Tang Shui's angry face, Tang Yao laughed. Maybe this is retribution. That girl who suffered was my younger sister. So, I regret it. She wasn't so lucky. The villagers were afraid that she would escape again, so they tied our family up in the courtyard. She was really tied up on the boat and burned to death. I'm sorry, Tang Shui said quickly. Tang Yao turned and went back to his room. He didn't want to hear any apologies at all. No matter how much she said she was sorry, she couldn't go back in time and change everything. Even if it wasn't Tang Shui's fault. However, this series of events were all connected. He could no longer understand why his kind and adorable sister had to suffer such a tragic fate. Lord Tang, I will redress Miss Guo's grievances. She was the one who suffered in my place. Don't worry, when I go back this time, I will definitely make those people receive the punishment they deserve. I will assist the Crown Prince and do my best to stop this ridiculous behavior. Tang Yao didn't answer. He didn't want to hear anything now. He just wanted to go back as soon as possible to see his parents, whom he hadn't seen for many years, and his sister, who he didn't know if she had become a vengeful spirit. Of course, those people from the family Tang village should be condemned. How could they just let it go after killing his sister? After this conversation, Tang Yao and Tang Shui didn't communicate anymore. They continued until they arrived at the county where family Tang village was located. The whereabouts of the crown prince could not be concealed. The county magistrate welcomed them warmly into the mansion. The county magistrate did not recognize Tang Yao. He only knew that there was an imperial envoy following him who was highly appreciated by the emperor. When they saw Tang Yao, they were very friendly. They offered beautiful women and banknotes, but Tang Yao rejected them all. Vertex. Chapter 3658. Tang Yao felt that it was better to avoid any trouble. In addition, he was afraid that if anything happened to family Tang village, the county magistrate would ruin it. He made a prompt decision to sort out the crimes committed by the county magistrate and put him in jail without even having a chance to react. Fu Qing also admired Tang Yao's quick and accurate methods. Since the evidence was conclusive, such a corrupt official naturally had to be dealt with. As the crown prince, he had to support him. It was also very good for his reputation, so he agreed with Tang Yao's actions. Originally, the emperor sent Tang Yao over to check if there was any injustice here. It said that family Tang village is now a forbidden place. No one has come out for more than 10 years, and no one has gone in either. Official Tang, what do you think? I heard that no one has come out from inside, and no one has been able to go in from outside. However, those who want to go in will only get lost and eventually faint outside family Tang village. Since they won't lose their lives, I've decided to go in and see what's wrong with it. Tang Yao suggested that he go in and take a look first. Fu Qing did not agree. After all, Tang Yao's identity was extraordinary. If something happened to such an upright and honest official, it would be a great loss to the Qinyan kingdom. He decided to send someone in to try first. Tang Yao agreed. He would have to go in sooner or later anyway. The next day, Fu Qing arranged for 10 people to enter from different positions in family Tang village. He watched as these people disappeared from his sight and never appeared again that day. The next morning, these people were all unconscious at the intersection of family Tang village. They did not die, but their expressions did not look too good. After these people told him about their experiences, Tang Yao was even more certain of his thoughts. This time, he decided to go in and take a look himself. Fu Qing did not object again. Tang Yao did not bring anyone with him. He followed the familiar path and walked toward family Tang village. Looking at the familiar place, Tang Yao's eyes welled up with tears. He quickly walked to the cleanest courtyard in the village. Whether it was the road in front of the courtyard or the courtyard itself, they were all clean. It was clear and there was a faint fragrance of food coming from inside. It did not seem like a forbidden place. Before Tang Yao could push open the door, it opened. Standing inside the door was Tang Shushan and his wife. Although more than 10 years had passed, Tang Gua had secretly helped them recuperate their bodies, their appearance had not changed much. Yao, you're back. Dad, Mom. Tang Yao was particularly excited and quickly reacted. Dad, Mom, how did you know that I would come back? Tang Shushan and his wife looked at each other and said, Gua, told us that you'll be back in a few days. Sister, big brother. Tang Gua came out of the house. She was still wearing the same red clothes. Her face looked a little pale. She walked out lightly. Tang Yao subconsciously looked at the ground. Indeed, he did not see her shadow. He was about to break down. Just as he had guessed, his sister must have failed to redress her grievances, and her soul could not reincarnate. She could only stay in family Tang village. The family sat down and talked for a long time. They talked about the things that happened in Tang village over the years. Tang Yao also told them about his experiences over the years. Only he could understand the joys and sorrows of his life. Because of the things in his heart, he didn't have the heart to start a family and was still single. The reason why he was single was that he didn't want to have any worries. If something happened in the future, it would implicate his wife and children. It was convenient for him to do anything when he was alone. If it really came to that, he would have no scruples in fighting to the death. Tang Guo certainly knew that Tang Yao was a good official. When she was free, she would go to the place where Tang Yao was an official. The local people were not dissatisfied with him. The originally poor county was very prosperous under his governance. The apex. Chapter 3659. In the past few years, natural disasters had occurred frequently. Tang Yao had thought of various ways to prevent the natural disasters from affecting the local area. Floods and droughts were rare in that place, but insect infestations had always been a headache. Tang Yao organized the local doctors to develop insecticides to solve the insect infestation. Some of the soil in that place was not suitable for planting crops. Tang Yao later discovered that it was because there were special ores in the ground. He was fair and honest, and he was not corrupt at all. He reported everything to the higher-ups, which made some people angry. During this period, there were people who wanted to harm Tang Yao. Some of them were dealt with by Tang Yao, while the others were secretly dealt with by Tang Guo. Tang Guo also knew that Tang Yao and Tang Shui had returned together. She had heard the conversation between the two. From Tang Yao's perspective, Tang Shui was not innocent, nor had she offended anyone. In the face of hatred, he always remained clear-headed. He remembered that the people who harmed his sister were the fools here, the local county magistrates in action, and the evil Taoist who sowed discord. Therefore, she looked at Tang Yao. Guo, I've already locked the county magistrate in prison. I'll escort him to the capital to deal with him. I've been thinking about how to punish the people of family Tang village. Now that I've heard about the situation here, I feel that what they're going through now is the greatest punishment for them. After all, because of this matter, the emperor would not allow him to kill all the people of family Tang village. Even if he killed them, those fools would not think that they were wrong. Now, it was just as well. The disasters had never stopped, and they were all floods. The houses outside were full of holes, and the people outside couldn't enter, and the people inside couldn't leave. Wasn't this the greatest punishment? Had the Dragon King they wanted to worship been efficacious? Big brother, this matter is not over yet. Tang Guo's words stunned Tang Yao. Not over yet. Big brother, rest at home for the next few days. Don't go anywhere. Guo, what are you doing? Tang Yao was puzzled. You haven't killed anyone in the village for so many years. You don't want their lives. I've never thought of killing them. I'm very satisfied with their current lives. Tang Guo stood up and walked towards the door. I just want to settle some other matters. Tang Shui and Fu Qing have come in. Guo, do you hate Tang Shui? He thought that it was only right to hate her. I don't hate her. It's all Big Brother's fault. If Big Brother had shouted that night, Guo wouldn't have suffered. Tang Yao blamed himself. Actually, Guo should hate him more. If Big Brother's shout attracted the attention of the entire village, then he wouldn't be my biological big brother. You're a person who can distinguish right from wrong. You just can't bear to see a young lady burn to death. It's not your fault that you let Tang Shui escape. It's because you still have a conscience. You have kindness in your heart. You're not like those ignorant people in the village. As for what would happen next, who could predict? Big brother, this isn't your fault. This can only be blamed on some people's schemes. Yes, at the end of the day, this matter was to be blamed on the Celestial Emperor, who implicated the mortals because the immortals made a mistake. The person behind Tang Shui was also to be blamed. In order to let Tang Shui get through this smoothly, he schemed against mortals like them without mercy. Who's the schemer? Tang Yao heard something. It seemed like this was all a conspiracy. Big brother, do you think Taoist Qing Hong is really capable? Tang Yao's expression changed. He is indeed capable. Everyone in the village had seen Taoist Qing Hong's abilities. It wasn't fake. Who would be able to stop the floods so easily? Before the sacrificial Dragon King, Taoist Qing Hong had already used such methods to gain the trust of the villagers. Taoist Qing Hong had always been living in the village. You said that Tang Shui escaped. How could he not know about such an important matter? If he really wanted Tang Shui to become a sacrifice, he wouldn't have let her escape. Taoist Qing Hong was the one who schemed all this. Our family has no enmity with him. Why would he scheme against your life? Tang Yao didn't understand. He felt that Taoist Qing Hong was despicable. Peak. Chapter 3660. Because he was also instructed by someone else. At this point, Tang Guo didn't want to hide some things anymore. Tang Shui was already here. If she couldn't convert her, their experience would fail. This was already Tang Shui and Fu Cheng's 10th life. If they couldn't complete the last stage, they would return to their original positions. According to the agreement, they couldn't continue their previous fate. Tang Shui couldn't convert her, but there was another way. This method was to turn her into an unpardonable evil demon with grave sins. Tang Shui and Fu Qing would then have the opportunity to kill her and bring peace back to the Qing Yan kingdom. It would be a great merit. Now that the two were husband and wife, the people behind Tang Shui didn't just want to help Tang Shui They also wanted to use these 10 lives to help Tang Shui gain merit and upgrade her rank when she returned to the celestial realm. Those people in the celestial realm didn't care about the lives of mortals. They only dared to do this because they knew that the celestial emperor didn't care about mortals. Otherwise, he wouldn't vent his anger on mortals because of Tang Shui Tang Shui had two things to do in the mortal world. First, her relationship with Fu Qing was stronger than gold. Second, she had to save these mortals who were suffering. According to the Celestial Emperor and those immortals, these mortals were suffering because of her. Only when she saved them from the abyss of suffering would she be successful and famous. She could wait to go back and become an immortal and increase her rank. Now that he put it that way, it was truly laughable. Tang Guo told the family Tang about these things one by one. They were all in disbelief. As for how she knew, she said that it was the guidance of an expert. Otherwise, they wouldn't have stayed here. If it wasn't for the expert's guidance, she might have turned family Tang village into a real paradise from the beginning. Lu Mulan thought of something and couldn't help but tear up. When someone broke into the house, Guo stopped him in time. Was it also because of the expert's guidance? If Guo didn't stop all this, she would have been molested. After suffering so many setbacks, she might have really looked for a dagger. If she died, Tang Shushan wouldn't live long. When they were no longer around, they did not exchange letters with Tang Yao. They were afraid that Tang Yao would not be able to control himself and reveal his thoughts early on. According to the matters in the officialdom, he probably would not have the chance to help Guo seek justice. At that time, Guo would really be an evil spirit that had killed countless people, waiting for someone to come and collect her. Lu Mulan wasn't the only one who thought of it. Tang Shushan and Tang Yao also thought of it. From their expressions, it could be seen how furious they were. Why should we, mortals, be implicated and punished when immortals and gods make mistakes? Tang Yao said angrily, they are really good at scheming. Are they here to be punished for their mistakes or to take credit? They even schemed against our Guo. Actually, Tang Yao had long realized that Tang Shui and Fu Cheng's experiences were extraordinary. He had never met Tang Shui before, but he had heard of this commoner crown prince consort's deeds. No matter what he encountered, the other party was able to turn something rotten into something magical. It was as if all the luck was on her side. Even if she had to suffer a lot along the way and face life and death dangers, there would always be a particularly good outcome for her in the end. For example, when the village chose a maiden to worship the Dragon King, it should have been Tang Shui, but she ran away. When it came to their family, the villagers trapped them all in the courtyard and arranged for people to guard Guo, not giving them the slightest chance to escape. Now that he knew everything, Tang Yao felt that it was too ridiculous. The Peak. Chapter 3661. No wonder, so that's how it is. Tang Shushan came back to his senses. Tang Shui's mother died when she was born. That winter, there was a snowstorm in the village. Because there were many children born in the same year, there were also children who lost their mothers at birth. Moreover, there was a 3-month gap between Tang Shui's birth and winter, so no one thought that it was Tang Shui's fault. From this year onwards, there will be a very serious snow disaster every winter. In summer, there will be floods, and it hasn't stopped for years. Is this what Guo said, that the celestial emperor ordered the people here to suffer? Tang Guo nodded. Tang Shushan's face was pale, and his eyes were filled with worry. At this time, Tang Yao said, Father, Mother, you didn't go out, so you don't know what's happening in the Qin Yan kingdom. Do you know why Tang Shui and the crown prince went to family Tang village? Qin Yan kingdom has been experiencing all kinds of natural disasters for several years. If it's not a flood, it's a drought, it's an epidemic, it's an insect disaster. The two of them came back because they had a dream. The immortal in the dream led them to family Tang village to check on the situation. Tang Yao's expression was extremely ugly. Without waiting for the two to answer, he said, I'm afraid they're here for Guo. If they're not here to convert Guo, they're here to subdue her. Things had become complicated. It was different from what Tang Yao had imagined. Tang Shui, who was originally on the same side, had now become his enemy. Tang Shushan and his wife could easily guess that the various natural disasters that Tang Yao mentioned were caused by those immortals. They only felt exhausted. Facing such a powerful enemy who wanted to harm their daughter, they were powerless to resist. Father, Mother, Big Brother, don't worry. Tang Shui can't do anything to me. We're not afraid that Tang Shui will do anything to you. We're just afraid that if she fails to convert you, those immortals up there won't give up. Tang Shushan was more thoughtful. The celestial emperor probably didn't have the time to plan all of this for Tang Shui. It's most likely her backer who took advantage of the situation. They don't care about the lives of mortals like us. As long as they don't do too much, they can just add fuel to the fire in these disasters. When the time comes, even if the celestial emperor is angry, they only need to push out a shield to be punished. Tang Shushan had been in the business for many years, so he understood this. He wasn't afraid of Tang Shui, but he was afraid of the people who helped Tang Shui. Tang Yao frowned, not knowing what to do. At the end of the day, they were all mere mortals. How could they fight against those immortals and deities with powerful magic power? Father, Mother, you really don't have to worry. I'm not the only one who wants to rebel against the immortal realm. Besides, I have an expert guiding me from behind. Tanguef persuaded them again and again. She even took them to the small island and met with the women at the village entrance. Seeing that all of them could fly and burrow into the ground, she felt much more at ease. Tanguo then took them to see Ao Yen. After learning that Ao Yen was a real dragon, although he was only left with a pile of bones, he was still very surprised. Knowing that the dragon race had been schemed against by the Heavenly Emperor, Ao Yen also told them that many other races would stand up and oppose the Heavenly Emperor's rule. The three of them were relieved. Tanguo sent them back to Family Tang's courtyard and instantly felt 3 pairs of sparkling eyes. Guo, those women you saved in the village are now like immortals. In the future, they will help you fight against the immortal realm. Tang Shushan hesitated and said, "Can we do it?" Now, Tang Shushan's hatred was no longer limited to Family Tang Village. At the end of the day, the people of Family Tang Village were just ignorant people who were played in the palm of their hands. The Peak. Chapter 3662. At the end of the day, the people who harmed their daughter were actually those high and mighty immortals in the heavens who treated them like ants. Immortals looked down on ants, but they also wanted to be an ant that could gnaw on an elephant's leg. Since the three of them had the same idea, Tanguo taught them cultivation techniques. She did not teach them cultivation techniques at first because it was not the right time. Secondly, she was not sure if they were willing to embark on this path. Except for the cultivation technique that she taught Ao Yen, which was about cultivating the power of the stars, she taught the rest of them about cultivating spiritual energy. They would not be able to cultivate to the highest level in a short period of time, so they were not restricted much. Against the Celestial Emperor, she, Ao Yen, and the Celestial Emperor's enemies were enough. At this moment, Tang Shui and Fu Qing were trapped in an illusion. Tang Shui and Fu Qing were walking into Family Tang Village hand in hand. They did not expect the scene to change after they took 2 steps. She was wearing a red wedding dress, tied to a sedan chair and carried to the seaside. Looking at the familiar road, Tang Shui panicked. Although she had not experienced this scene before, it was close. She was so familiar with this road. She used to carry dirty clothes there to wash. How could she not remember? If she walked slowly, her stepmother might pinch her thigh. At that time, her thighs and arms were always covered in bruises, all caused by her stepmother. Walk faster. The auspicious hour is coming. I hope that the Dragon King will not make things difficult for Family Tang Village now that he has the Dragon King's concubine. The floods have not stopped for years in the summer. Sigh. Tang Shui heard the familiar voices and looked at the familiar people around her. She struggled subconsciously. A matchmaker beside her quickly smiled and told her that she was marrying the Dragon King and was going to enjoy life. It was not a bad thing. In the future, the entire Family Tang Village would come to worship her and worship her like a bodhisattva. No, let go of me. However, these people tied her up too tightly. Tang Shui could not break free at all. She was sent to the boat. Dry firewood was piled around the boat, and a little oil was poured on it. Tang Shui's face turned pale. Although she had already realized that she had fallen into an illusion, it was one thing to be aware of it, and another to be unable to break free. Even if she knew it was an illusion, she had no way of escaping. She finally understood why those people who went out were so listless for several days. They must have experienced something terrifying in the illusion. Seeing that Tang Shui was being sent to the sea, Fu Qing arrived. He defeated the villagers and saved Tang Shui. Then, he ran away with Tang Shui. The two of them hid and the villagers couldn't find them. They were all looking forward to surviving today so that they could get out the next day. What they didn't expect was that the villagers were choosing new girls to sacrifice to the Dragon King. Ah Ching, is this an illusion or reality? Tang Shui could not tell. Why are the people here so stupid? Fu Cheng was more sober than Tang Shui. He grabbed her shoulders. Shui, do you still remember that dream? Dream? Yes, it's the dream we had together. In the dream, we received guidance and came to Family Tang Village. Everything in front of us is an illusion. What we need to do is to reform the evil spirit of Family Tang Village and release her from purgatory. We need to ask her to let go of Family Tang Village and give her justice. This matter will be resolved. Yes, yes. We are here to seek justice for her. The Peak. Chapter 3663. It turned out that the two of them had received guidance in the dream, which was why they came directly to Family Tang Village. At first, she only knew that there was a malicious spirit in Family Tang Village. Later, when she saw Tang Yao, she guessed that this malicious spirit was likely to be Tang Gua. She's the one who did all this. She must be watching us. Tang Shui looked around. She must be watching us. Tang Shui paused for a moment and said, I don't know what to do to make her come out to see us. The guidance that Tang Shui received was to convert the malicious spirit and send her to the underworld to fulfill her wish. According to the immortals, this malicious spirit was very powerful. It should be because she had swallowed many ghosts over the years. But Tang Shui didn't understand. Tang Gua didn't kill her way in, so how did she devour the ghosts? She automatically thought that it was some lonely ghosts. After all, people died every day in this world. In addition to the thousands of lives in Family Tang Village, it was more than enough for her to become a malicious spirit. After figuring all this out, Tang Shui and Fu Qing found a safe place and called Tang Gua out to see her, saying that she was willing to help her redress her grievances. If she had any wishes, she would do her best to fulfill them. Tang Gua appeared in front of Tang Shui in her red dress. Tang Gua. Tang Shui was very happy to see Tang Gua. Ignoring Fu Cheng's obstruction, she ran in front of her. Tang Gua, stop. You've become a malicious spirit now. It's not good for you to stay in the human world. I know that I'm the one who caused you to suffer. If I didn't run away, you wouldn't have suffered. You must hate me. I don't hate the you who ran away in order to live. Tang Shui was a little stunned. She did not understand what she meant. She felt that there were many hidden meanings in this short sentence. Are you here to convert me? Yes, I'm here to fulfill your wish. I hope that you can go where you should go so that you can have a chance to reincarnate in the future. You don't have to stay here as a malicious spirit because of hatred. You didn't kill those outsiders most likely because you knew they were innocent and didn't want to implicate them. Hearing Tang Shui's words, Tang Gua smiled and shook her head. No, I didn't kill them because I didn't want to become a stepping stone. You've already stayed here for more than 10 years. You've also killed all the people in your family Tang village who harmed you. Tang Gua, if you have any unfulfilled wishes, I can help you fulfill them. Don't be so stubborn. Tang Shui suddenly thought of Tang Yao. And your elder brother, who is now Lord Tang, has been blaming himself. He came back this time too. He came in before us. You should have seen him. Tang Gua, your elder brother loves you more than anyone else. Don't resent him. If you want to blame someone, blame me. He's my big brother. Why would I blame him? He turned a blind eye to your escape and didn't call the villagers to catch you. That's because he still has a conscience and is a kind-hearted person. If he were to catch you on the spot like the villagers, then he wouldn't be my big brother. Tang Guo looked straight at Tang Shui. I never blamed my big brother for not saying anything that night. I also don't blame the person who ran away in order to live. Then I just didn't want my fate to be led by the nose. I made a certain amount of resistance. You don't have to say anything more. Go back. About the catastrophe in Qinyan Kingdom, it's not because of me. I've never killed innocent people. The Peak. Chapter 36-64. As for the family Tang villagers that you thought were dead, they are all alive and well now. Except for those who died of natural causes, they are all still alive. Seeing that Tang Shui did not believe her, Tang Guo waved her sleeves and led them out of the illusion. At this time, Tang Shui finally saw the full picture of the family Tang village. Tang Guo led them past one by one. When those people saw Tang Guo, they quickly lowered their heads and did not dare to look at her. After being imprisoned here by Tang Guo for more than 10 years, they were already numb to the flood every summer. Even if there were strangers, they did not care at all. So what if there were more people? Could they save them? Forget it. This female ghost was getting more and more powerful. Not many people could do anything to her. Tang Shui was shocked that Tang Guo did not kill the villagers. For a moment, she wondered if the dream she and Fu Qing had was real. In fact, other than not being able to go out, Tang Guo did not interfere with the family Tang villagers. It's just that every summer, when the flood comes, Tang Guo will appear in front of them and repeat a few words to them. Come and see. The water is rising again. See if your worship of the Dragon King is useless. Uncle Chen, look, your house has been destroyed by the flood. This means that worshipping the Dragon King is useless. In fact, the family Tang villagers had known for a long time that worshipping the Dragon King was useless. It should be said that when Tang Guo's ghost appeared, they already had this idea. But people were like this. Even if worshipping the Dragon King was useless, they still hated Tang Guo. What was funny was that the people who hated Tang Guo the most were the women she had saved. Now, they were scolding her the most. So, all these years, you just trapped them here and did not kill them. Tang Shui came back to her senses. She still did not believe it, but the truth was right in front of her. Yes. Tang Shui was slightly relieved. She said naively, then the anger in your heart can dissipate. They have suffered a lot. If you let go of all this, have no sins, you should be able to reincarnate. You mean to say that I should forgive them just because they took my life and suffered for more than 10 years? Let them go. Tang Shui, it's easy for you to say that. What they wanted was my life. They wanted to burn me alive. Have you ever experienced this feeling? I've only suffered for more than 10 years. Besides, I wasn't the one who caused these natural disasters. How can this offset their hatred for wanting my life? You didn't experience what I did, so you don't have the right to ask me what to do. There's nothing wrong with family Tang village. I won't kill them. At most, I'll let them stay in family Tang village. The disasters in the Qinyan Kingdom were not caused by me. As for how it was caused, you should ask the person behind you. Tang Shui was shocked. She wanted to say something, but Tang Guo waved her sleeve and sent them out. It was already impossible for Tang Shui to convert her. Who knew what would happen next in the Qinyan Kingdom? What happened next, those immortals and gods would probably come down to fight with her. Actually, she had wanted to fight with them for a long time. What do you plan to do now? Big brother, you can go out too. Now you have to do something. What is it? Save the world. Tanggua took out a storage ring. There are some useful treasures inside. Big brother, take them back and ask the emperor to save the people. Save them from the fire and water. Just say that you were instructed by the expert. Also, you have to add that the expert said that this is your opportunity. No one else can be involved. This matter can only be done by you. It's a test for you. The peak. Chapter 3665. The Qingyan kingdom was plagued by natural disasters every year. Instead of doing as the mastermind wished, it was better to let Tang Yao take advantage of this. Will doing this help Guo? Tang Yao's heart was indeed concerned about the people. However, he wanted to be selfish this time. He wanted to always stand by his sister's side, which was why he asked this question. If you don't do this, Tang Shui and Fu Qing will get all the credit in the future. It's just as the mastermind wishes. Now that they can't convert me, the first step has failed. The mastermind behind her doesn't dare to make any big moves. Now that the heavens are in chaos, it's the best opportunity for you. Other than magic treasures, I'll give you some antidotes suitable for mortals. It can effectively suppress some strange diseases. If the emperor asks, just say that you were instructed by an expert. Okay, I'll go. Hearing that he could help Tanggua, Tang Yao didn't hesitate. He could help his sister and save the people who were suffering. It was the best of both worlds. Gua, what can Dad and Mom do for you? Tang Shushan and Lu Mulan looked at Tanggua eagerly. They really wanted to participate. Their family's girl had a plan. What she did wouldn't be useless. Dad, Mom, why don't you go to some places where disasters happened? Give porridge and medicine. The natural disasters were the orders of the Emperor of Heaven. The innocent mortals would definitely suffer a lot. The Emperor of Heaven had great power. He could control the natural phenomena of the mortal world. However, that was only limited to the mortal world. Even the underworld didn't dare to interfere. It was clear that the Emperor of Heaven wasn't omnipotent. Otherwise, why would the Emperor of Heaven need the immortal God record? It was because the immortal God was powerful and unpredictable. Only by binding it to the immortal God record, it wouldn't become a variable. It would all be under his control. The power of virtue was very mysterious. She thought that the Emperor of Heaven had no way of controlling it. She had never heard of anyone who could control it. Now was the time to let Tang Shushan and his wife get some power of virtue. Anyway, they couldn't let others benefit, especially Tang Shui and Fu Qing. Not long after Tang Shui and Fu Qing were sent out of family Tang village, Tang Yao also went out. When the two of them saw him, they quickly came up to him and asked if he had seen Tanggua. Tang Yao had witnessed the conversation between Tanggua and Tang Shui before, so he nodded and said, "Yes, I have." Then, Lord Tang, did you persuade Tanggua to let go of her hatred and reincarnate as soon as possible? She didn't know why, but ever since she left the family Tang village, there was a voice in Tang Shui heart telling her that she must convert the Tanggua so that she would willingly go to hell. The voice also told her to solve the problem of the family Tang village and not let them continue to be trapped inside. Although she didn't know why, Tang Shui decided to spend some effort on Tang Yao. She didn't think there was anything wrong with this. If Tanggua didn't let go of her hatred, she couldn't reincarnate. It wouldn't do her any good to stay here. Crown Princess, Do you mean that we will just let the matter of the family Tang village people killing my younger sister for no reason go? Tang Yao suddenly felt that all of this was very funny. The people he thought were innocent were not so innocent. Speaking of which, he blamed himself. He was also the one who killed his younger sister. I'm not, Crown Prince Consort, do you know the pain of being tied up and thrown onto the boat, watching the surrounding firewood burn and slowly burn your body, while a group of people watch all of this from the side? Do you know how it feels to be indifferent? Peak. Chapter 3666. Tang Yao said with some disgust, "You haven't experienced all this. Why should my sister let go of her hatred and go to the underworld to be reincarnated? Yes, if the fire doesn't burn you, how can you experience the pain of despair?" "Lord Tang, I didn't mean that." Tang Shui tried to explain, but she didn't know how to. She only knew that she should send Tang Gua to the underworld and not let her continue to stay in the human world. "My sister didn't kill anyone in the village. She just imprisoned them in the village and didn't take the lives of the intruders. Therefore, she is not a malicious spirit and doesn't need to be released. She is still in the village, which means that the hatred in her heart hasn't dissipated. How can she go to the underworld? But it's been more than 10 years. If the Crown Princess feels that her life has been taken, it only takes more than 10 years of suffering to offset all of this. I suggest that the Crown Princess experience my sister's pain and personally taste the feeling of being burned by fire before telling me this." "You are not qualified now." Tang Yao didn't want to say more. Now he had to escort the corrupt official back to the capital and report some things here to the emperor. Then, he would follow his sister's plan. Not only did he have to save the people as his sister said, but he also had to tell the emperor about his sister's grievances and let the emperor give him justice. As for how to do it, how to make the emperor believe and promise him, he had already thought about it. Tang Yao left without looking back, ignoring Tang Shui and Fu Qing. Fu Qing understood Tang Yao a little and knew that he had this kind of upright and plain-spoken character, which was why his father liked him. "Shui, let's go back. Tang Gua didn't harm the lives of family Tang villagers or outsiders. In my opinion, she is not a bad person. According to her, the natural disasters around the Qingyan kingdom may have other reasons. But, do we really want to let family Tang village be like this forever? Let's leave it like this for the time being. We tried before, but we couldn't get in. She doesn't want to see us, so it's useless to force it. Let's go back first and think of other ways." Well, I don't know if the immortal in the dream has any guidance. In fact, the reason why Tang Shui had been able to resolve so many crises over the years was all thanks to the immortal in her dreams. Actually, before the selection of the Dragon King consort, the dream immortal had appeared in her dream to warn her that there would be trouble and to be careful. As expected, she was chosen. Because she was prepared, her escape was slightly smoother. However, he didn't expect to meet Tang Yao, who was enjoying the shade outside. Fortunately, Tang Yao didn't call the villagers. After that, she suffered a lot along the way. Every time she felt so hopeless that she couldn't live on, the immortal would appear in her dreams and guide her in the right direction. Even when she met Fu Qing, an immortal reminded her that she would meet a noble and told her to seize the opportunity. In the beginning, Fu Qing was not the crown prince, but a prince who had suffered. She had the guidance of an immortal and assisted Fu Qing by the side. The two of them worked together to achieve what they had today. What made Tang Shui uneasy was that, for the first time, the immortal's guidance seemed to be a little off. She felt an inexplicable sense of panic. He felt that this unforeseen event would have a great impact on her. Since Fu Qing had said so, coupled with the fact that she couldn't see Tang Gua, Tang Shui could only give up. The immortal who guided her in her dreams didn't appear whenever she wanted. At first, it appeared more frequently, but later on, it became less frequent. It might appear once every few months, or even once a year. Tang Shui and Fu Qing set out to return to the capital. The Peak. Chapter 3667. Tang Yao left first and escorted the criminal back to the capital to meet the emperor of the Qinyan kingdom. After meeting the emperor, he presented the evidence of the corrupt official's crime. The emperor was furious after reading it and punished the corrupt official. Then, he asked him about the investigation of the family Tang village with the crown prince and crown princess. Tang Yao calmed down and told the emperor about his sister's experience. He also explained that the family Tang village was not a place of lei feng. Even if his sister became a vengeful spirit, she did not kill anyone indiscriminately. She was just unwilling and resentful, so she could only imprison people. The emperor asked for the reason, sighed, and asked Tang Yao how he wanted to deal with it. Tang Yao only said, "I hope that your majesty can give justice to my sister. I request that your majesty issue a decree to announce to the world that a method similar to a young girl sacrificing to the Dragon King can solve the flood problem should be prohibited. If the gods have spirits, they should pray sincerely instead of committing sins and harming innocent lives in front of the gods." Tang Qing is right. Since the family Tang village was not really haunted, the vengeful spirit did not harm anyone and she was wronged, as the emperor, of course, should redress her name. It was not a bad thing to redress the grievances of his people. Of course, the emperor agreed. Moreover, Tang Yao was a straightforward official. There were some things that he could not do as the emperor, so it was better for Tang Yao to do it. The emperor immediately ordered Tang Yao to announce this decree to the world and allowed him to go back to deal with it. The main thing was to ask Tang Gua if she had any unfulfilled wishes. Tang Yao went through all the necessary formalities. In less than a month, Tang Gua's matter spread throughout the Qinyan kingdom. At this juncture, the emperor was still able to pay attention to a small village girl, which made the people's hearts gather. This situation made Tianzi heave a sigh of relief. Tang Yao knew that the reason why the emperor agreed to this matter so quickly was because of this. But he did not mind. As long as he could redress his sister's name and prevent the Qinyan kingdom from using living people as sacrifices, his purpose would be achieved. Tang Yao also wanted to use this matter to achieve another thing, which was his real plan. Before leaving family Tang village, he told Tang Guo about his plan. "Big brother, go ahead and do it. After you leave, I'll release the people from family Tang village. From now on, let them fend for themselves." The heavenly emperor's orders were not that easy to change. The people from the family Tang village were related to Tang Shui. As long as Tang Shui did not change the situation, no matter where the people from the family Tang village went, they would encounter natural disasters. Even if there were no more natural disasters, with their current reputation, they would still have a hard time. Whether or not they were imprisoned didn't have much meaning anymore. Tang Yao understood what Tang Guo was thinking. He reminded her to be careful and to hide. She should protect herself well and not let those powerful evil Taoists find her. After returning to the capital, Tang Yao went to see the emperor with a face full of excitement. He said that he had almost lost his life on the way back. Fortunately, he met an expert who came out of the mountains and saved his life. The expert asked him a few questions about the current situation of the Qinyan kingdom. When he heard that the emperor was actually concerned about the grievances of a small village girl, he thought that the Qinyan kingdom should not have natural disasters. Therefore, he gave him some pointers to find a way to stop the natural disasters in the Qinyan kingdom. When the emperor heard this, he was very happy and agreed to Tang Yao's request. That day, Tang Yao took the imperial edict and planned to go to the disaster relief. The excuse now was that the expert thought that the emperor of the Qingyan kingdom was a good emperor. There should not be any disasters here, so he wanted to help. The person who did this for him was, of course, the emperor's close official, Tang Yao. The Peak. Chapter 3668. After Tang Yao left for a day, Tang Shui and Fu Xing finally reacted. Tang Shui was very curious about how Tang Yao would help the people who were affected by the disaster. She and Fu Xing entered the palace to ask about this matter. The emperor only said that Tang Yao had met an expert. In fact, he was very happy in his heart. That expert must have learned from Tang Qing that he was a good emperor, so he was willing to teach Tang Qing. Speaking of which, it was all thanks to him, the emperor who cared about the people, who taught Tang Qing. Father, I also know some medicine. I want to go to Lord Tang's place to take a look. Maybe there's something I can help with. There were two reasons for Tang Shui to say this. First, she was indeed kind. Second, the voice in her heart told her to go there. This time, the emperor shook his head. That expert has already accepted Tang Qing as his disciple. This is a great blessing for the Qingyan kingdom and also a test for Tang Qing. You too, don't interfere. Now, it's not peaceful everywhere. It's either a flood here or a landslide there. I'm worried about you too, so I'll stay in the palace for the time being and see how Tang Qing reacts. If anything happens to Tang Qing, you can stay in the palace and think of other ways. Fu Sheng was convinced by this reason. Recently, the Qingyan kingdom was not peaceful. Besides, he was just a mortal. He couldn't help much even if he went. He might even cause trouble. It was better to wait for the matter to be settled and then go as the crown prince. It was the same. Tang Shui was a little disappointed, but she didn't say anything more. She just felt that she had lost something. Now, she especially hoped that she could dream of the immortal's guidance as soon as possible. At this time, Tang Yao had already taken the treasure that Tang Guo gave him to the place where the disaster was serious. As she said, Tang Guo had removed the illusion of the family Tang village. The people inside and outside could enter and leave freely. Tang Shushan and his wife didn't plan to stay in the village. Instead, they followed Tang Guo's instructions to help the people affected by the disaster get through the current difficulties as soon as possible. However, they hadn't stepped out of the family Tang village for more than 10 years. They didn't have a lot of money. Even if Tang Yao left a lot, it was far from enough. Tang Guo was going to take some things from the system space for the two to sell. Unexpectedly, Ao Yan's voice came from beside his ear. I have many items at the bottom of the sea. Do you want to take a look? Since it's snatching merit, count me in. Okay. Tang Guo did not refuse. She brought Tang Shushan and his wife to the bottom of the sea to see Ao Yan. Tang Shushan and his wife had heard about Ao Yan's story from Tang Guo. They did not expect the legendary Dragon King to be so miserable. It was much worse than them. The villagers had really misunderstood. The Lord Dragon King in front of them was not someone who disregarded human life and wanted a living girl as a sacrifice for him. When they heard that Ao Yan wanted them to handle the treasures at the bottom of the sea, the two of them felt a little uncomfortable. In my eyes, these things are just some small trinkets. They aren't precious at all. In the past, the floors of the Dragon Clan's palaces were all paved with white jade. The things in front of them were just scraps. Take it and use it. Try to get as much merit as possible. Don't let those scheming people take advantage of you. When Ao Yen said this, the two of them thought that he took out something because he hated the immortals of the immortal world too much. Therefore, they didn't hold back. They were indeed short of money at the moment. The two of them bowed to Ao Yen. "Thank you, Lord Dragon King. The heavens have eyes. Since Lord Dragon King is willing to take out his own items to save the people, we will count you in." Peak. Chapter 3669. You're welcome. Guo and I are friends. You can call me Ao Yen. Calling him Lord Dragon King sounded strange, not to mention that it sounded distant. He had a feeling that the family from Tang village wanted to burn the girl as a gift for him. Every bone in his body felt uncomfortable. Even if he was the real Dragon King, he couldn't be called Dragon King after the grudge between him and the immortal world. This form of address made him feel uncomfortable all over. Tang Shushan and his wife had been cultivating for many days. Although they couldn't fly, they had no problem protecting themselves in the mortal world. In addition, the treasures given by Tang Guo could not only protect them, but also conceal their auras. With the heavenly mysteries becoming more and more chaotic, it was difficult for the immortals in the immortal world to divine anything. Otherwise, the person behind Tang Shui would know what happened here with just a little calculation. According to past experience, the heavenly mysteries were the most chaotic and the most difficult to see through during times of turmoil. Even the immortals in the immortal world couldn't do anything. Besides, the evolution of fate wasn't fixed at all, nor was it predestined. It depended on one's choice and whether one had the ability to change it. Obviously, she had the ability to change it now. Tang Shushan and his wife took the things given by Tang Guo and the underwater treasure from Ao Yen and set off on their journey. Guo said that she had been schemed against by the immortals. She said that Tang Shui was a fairy from the heavens and that the person behind Tang Shui wanted to build momentum for her and help her gain the power of virtue. Their daughter was in such a miserable state, and they still wanted to gain the power of virtue. In their dreams, Tang Shushan and his wife became businessmen again, but this time it was a little different. This time, they didn't want to make money, but to help the world. On Tang Yao's side, he also solved the natural disasters in several places. He used the treasures given by Tang Guo to dig ditches in places where the water was rising and diverted it into the sea. He used the treasures given by Tang Guo to transport water to places where there was a drought. In places where there was an epidemic, he used the prescription given by Tang Guo to summon doctors and quickly suppress the disease. In short, wherever there was a natural disaster, he would be there. Every time he went to a place, he would say that the Son of Heaven had sent him there, that the Emperor had won the reputation, and that most of the merits and virtues were his. Both sides were very satisfied. After Tang Yao resolved the natural disaster, Tang Shushan and his wife helped some homeless people along the way. They opened a shop in the area, bought land, and hired servants to plant them. They helped the local area develop again. They didn't specialize in business, but their businesses grew bigger and bigger. The two of them were also known as great philanthropists. Tang Guo did not stay idle. She brought some people to check out the place where the natural disaster occurred. With this investigation, she discovered something interesting. The so-called Wind Master controls the wind and Rain Master controls the rain was just the reason why these two people were casting their spells. The natural phenomena of this world were controlled by the natural laws. It was not something that could be completely controlled by humans. Otherwise, if the wind blew here and there, and only the count of the wind was in control, he would be busy to death. Tang Guo realized that Feng Bo was not usually ordered to create strong winds. Usually, the wind was not created by him. Once he made a move, a certain place would definitely suffer a great calamity. It was the same for the Rain Master. In this world, when it reached a certain season, it would rain according to the situation. There were also true natural disasters. But once the Rain Master reigned, there would definitely be a flood somewhere. Of course, it was the same for the Snow Goddess. In winter, there would be snow of all sizes in some places. Once the Snow Goddess made a move, there would definitely be a snow disaster somewhere. Ao Yen, do you know what the immortal world was like before? What I mean is, are the wind, rain, thunder, and lightning really in the hands of these immortals? Apex. Chapter 3670. Ao Yen did not expect Tanggua to ask such a question. He was able to answer this question. Not all of them. Only a portion of the immortals have this talent or control a portion of the laws. Just like my dragon race, they are born with the ability to control water. In front of me, the Rain Masters have no ability to resist. You should know that once you reach a certain level of cultivation, it is just a matter of a few small tricks for you to cause rain and wind. Did you find out something? Ao Yen asked. Through my recent observations, I found out that the natural disasters in the mortal world, apart from a portion of them being natural laws, a large portion of them are caused by those above. What do you want to do? Ao Yen understood that Tanggua definitely wanted to cause trouble. Recently, he could clearly feel that she wanted to fight with the people of the immortal world. This kind of mood was driving him. If not for the fact that it was not the right time, he would have asked Tanggua to help him break the chains and go out to play with the people of the immortal world. Now, his dragon bones were not something that could be pierced by the magic treasures of the immortal world. I plan to capture those evil cultivators who are harming the common people and causing rain and make them public. I want the people of the world to see their faces. System, bad, bad. Good, good. Ao Yen did not feel that these words were strange at all. The flames in his eyes turned red. Great. He looked like he was urging Tanggua to hurry up and do something. She didn't want to delay. Tanggua had already thought of a good idea to let the immortals in the heavens see that provoking mortals would not end well. Ao Yen, let's plan. The two of them discussed for a long time. Then, Tanggua left with the group of girls on the island. Sister Guar, what are we going to do this time? Today, not only did Tanggua change into a fairy-like white robe, she also asked them to wear the same clothes. This time, we are going to dress up as fairies. Sister Guar is a fairy. There is no need to dress up. No matter what Sister Guar wears, even if she wears a gray robe, she is still a fairy. Although the girl who spoke looked fairy-like, her name was actually rather tacky. Tang Tsuhua. The parents of the girls here were not very literary. Hence, their names were rather tacky. Shui Hua, Peach Blossom, and so on were already considered pleasant to hear. There were also girls like Aria and Sonia. I have already found the reason why the Qing Yan kingdom has been suffering from natural disasters for so many years. The emperor of the Qing Yan kingdom has helped us redress our grievances and issued an imperial edict to forbid the practice of living people sacrificing to the gods. Since we have the ability, let's help him solve such a small problem. Speaking of which, the emperor of the Qing Yan kingdom was rather unlucky. If Tang Shui had not been born in his kingdom, she would not have encountered such an immortal calamity. She remembered that in the original plot, the emperor was worried about the disasters happening all over the world. He couldn't eat or sleep well and wondered if it was because there were too many unjust things happening under his rule that caused the heavens to send down such disasters. It didn't take long for her to pass away. Crown Prince Fu Qing ascended the throne, and Tang Shui, had an expert to guide her. At this time, the two of them were on the right path. One became a wise ruler, the other a virtuous empress. When the two of them died of old age and were loved and respected by the people, they ascended to immortality. Everyone on this land was just a stepping stone for the two of them, including the emperor. When Tang Zuehua and the others heard what Tang Guo said, they did not believe her. After interacting with her for so many years, Sister Guo had never done anything useless. But they did not ask what Sister Guo wanted to do. What was the point of talking so much? They just followed. Peak. Chapter 3671. Tang Guo brought them to the place where the disasters happened year after year and found a place to set up an ambush. This was at a seaside. When Feng Bo came again with a strong tornado, they took action together and set up an inescapable net formation to catch Feng Bo, who was still in a daze. Good, I was wondering why there were disasters here. So it's because of you, demon. Tang Guo caught Feng Bo and gave him a good beating. Feng Bo wanted to quibble and reveal his identity, but Tang Guo didn't give him a chance and directly took him to see the local people. A group of women in fluttering white robes throwing down an ordinary-looking person did indeed attract a lot of attention. Everyone, we are cultivators who live in seclusion in the mountains. Our sect leader observed the sky and found that there are demons causing trouble here and harming the people. He specially sent us to eliminate the demons and return peace to everyone. Tang Zuhua copied Tang Guo and casually made up a story. With just a few words, it already angered the people who were affected by the disaster. Feng Bo wanted to kill him. These people who lost their loved ones because of the disaster were so angry that their eyes were red. They picked up stones and threw them at Feng Bo. Tang Guo had removed Feng Bo's defense, and the ordinary stones had also smashed into him, causing him to feel pain all over. Tang Guo also found that the power that this so-called Feng Bo obtained was a bit strange. It didn't seem like it was cultivated by himself. But it wasn't important. After everyone vented their anger, she said, "This person harmed Xin Yan Kingdom. We will send him to the capital and let the emperor deal with him. We will only catch the culprit and won't kill." When Tang Zuehua and the others heard this, they couldn't help it. Fortunately, they were all wearing veils so they couldn't be seen. As they carried Feng Bo away, the local people hurriedly knelt down and shouted for the goddess to protect them. In less than 2 days, the local people made statues of them and every family supported them. Tang Guo followed suit and captured the Rain Master and the others who caused the disaster. After capturing them, she carried this group of demons and flew to the capital in a very high-profile manner. Everywhere they passed, there were countless people watching. Naturally, their actions were quickly spread by the people of the Azure Swallow Kingdom. The emperor already knew about this and was waiting at the city gate to welcome them. When he saw Tang Guo and the other white-clothed, fairy-like women appear, he couldn't help but feel excited. "Your Majesty of the Qin Yan Kingdom, these are the demons who cause chaos in the Qin Yan Kingdom. We don't kill, but we can't bear to see them harm the common people. Your Majesty is a good emperor, so we'll let you deal with them. The demon has already been restrained by me and cannot use his magic power." The emperor said excitedly, "All right, thank you for your help, fairy. You've been rushing all the way. I've already set up a banquet in the imperial palace. That won't be necessary. We still have other things to do." Tang Guo sized up the emperor in front of her, and a pill box appeared in her hand. "Before I left the mountain, Master wanted me to give you this pill. This pill can prolong your life. Master said that as long as the emperor of the Qin Yan Kingdom was alive, he would definitely bring peace to the world and let the people live a good life." When the emperor of the Qin Yan Kingdom heard this, he became even more excited and hurriedly took it with both hands. In front of everyone, he directly swallowed it with almost no hesitation. Tang Guo also didn't allow the other party to hesitate. Giving the emperor a pill that could prolong his life and let him continue to govern the world seriously, she felt that it was okay. Not to mention other things, in terms of governing the world, this emperor wasn't an incapable ruler. After the emperor took the pill, he instantly felt much more energetic and immediately bowed to Tang Guo. The peak. Chapter 3672. The emperor then looked at the tied-up Fengguo and asked coldly, "You evil people, why do you harm the people of Qingyan Kingdom?" Fengguo and the others glared at the emperor. They didn't think that the emperor would dare to do anything to them. He was almost admitting that he did it. The emperor didn't ask anymore, but looked at Tang Guo. "Fairy, don't worry, I will give the people an explanation. I will not allow these evil people to cause trouble." Good. Tang Guo thought for a moment and took out another item. It was a defensive suit. However, if he wore it, it would be better for the emperor to live well. "This is the defensive suit that master gave you. It's invulnerable to swords and spears. It can also stop some evil people from causing trouble. Drip your blood and it will recognize you as its master." The emperor hurriedly took it. After taking the pill, he trusted Tang Guo very much. He took out a dagger and cut his finger. Blood dripped into the cloth, and the cloth automatically covered his body. It didn't hinder him at all. When the emperor wanted to ask something, Tang Guo had already raised her head. She looked like a fairy who had been here for a long time and couldn't stay any longer. She floated away in the direction she came from. Fengguo and the others who were tied up stared angrily at the direction where Tang Guo left. "Come, pass my decree. The evil people who caused trouble in Qingyan Kingdom have been caught and are to be beheaded immediately. I will personally supervise the execution." The emperor was afraid that the evil people would escape. Now the people were watching this matter. Knowing that the emperor would personally supervise the execution, they all went to the market to watch the fun. Fengguo and the others didn't even dream that the emperor would actually kill them. The executioners raised their swords and the immortals who had their defenses removed by Tang Guo were beheaded. When Tang Shui and Fu Qing arrived, they only saw the scene of blood and heads separated. The emperor happily took them back to the palace. Tang Shui couldn't help but look back at those people. She always felt a little uncomfortable, but she couldn't tell why. "Sister Guo, are those people immortals?" Back on the island, Tang Zuihua and the others asked. Tang Guo nodded. "They are indeed immortals of the immortal world, but they are not good people. The so-called natural disasters are nothing more than them exploiting the loopholes in the rules to achieve certain goals. Then we're going to slay an immortal this time, right? Although we didn't do it ourselves, we were the ones who made it happen." The news that the emperor had beheaded the Count of Wind, Lord of Rain, Lord of Plagues, and the others had already spread throughout the Qingyan Kingdom. After these people were beheaded, the Qingyan Kingdom did not have the same continuous disasters as before, as if they could not get through. Yes. At first, Tang Guo thought that they were afraid, but later, she felt that she was overthinking. For this group of women to be so determined to stay, they must be different from ordinary people. Now, we're standing against the immortal world. But I'm not afraid. We have Sister Guo. Celebrate among yourselves. Sister Guo, are you going to see Lord Dragon King? They knew about Ao Yan's identity. They didn't expect that there really was a Dragon King in this world. However, it was different from what they had imagined. That Lord Dragon King was just a bunch of bones without meat, not the legendary ferocious Dragon King that wanted to eat people. In any case, it was a good one. At least, he was good to Sister Guo. Ao Yen doesn't like you calling him Lord Dragon King. Don't call him that in front of him. I know. In front of him, we'll call him Young Master Dragon. How about that? Tang Guo went to see Ao Yen to share with him what she had done recently. Peak. Chapter 3673. Ao Yen listened with interest, not missing a single word. After listening, he praised Tang Guo for doing a good job. If I'm not wrong, the immortal realm will send people down to eliminate you soon. If one comes, I'll fight one. But it won't be too soon. A year in the human world is a day in heaven. Tang Guo's words were not fierce at all. Instead, she spoke softly, but it made one's hair stand on end. When the time comes, I'll lock them up here. Take a look and see if any of them hurt you. If they did, you can deal with them as you see fit. The flames in Ao Yan's eyes flickered, getting redder and redder, as if they were going to burn the seawater outside clean. Ao Yan, why aren't you saying anything? Seeing Ao Yen in a daze, Tang Guo nudged him. Ao Yen came back to his senses and hurriedly said, I'm fine, nothing happened. I just didn't expect that someone would help me vent my anger. Are you a little touched? Ao Yen nodded honestly. How should he describe this feeling? He didn't know how to describe it. He only knew that in this life, his dragon life was hers. After taking revenge for the dragon race, his only mission was to protect her. At this moment, in the underworld, the judge sat in his seat, looking at the Book of Life and Death with a puzzled expression, his brows furrowed. Lao Yan had told him not to care about the underworld and ghosts. He really didn't do that. Lao Yan was an old king of hell and had more experience than him. Listening to him was definitely not wrong. However, the changes in the Book of Life and Death were too great recently. Many people's fates were changed. Some people's names disappeared from the Book of Life and Death, while others had their lifespans extended by decades. Among them was the Emperor of Qing Yan Kingdom. He was supposed to die in these 2 years. He didn't know why, but when he saw it today, his lifespan was extended by 100 years. It scared him out of his wits. The judge, who didn't know why, had no choice but to take the Book of Life and Death to King of Hell. Little judge, why are you frowning? King of Hell asked cheerfully. It wasn't that he didn't know about the turmoil in the human world, but it had nothing to do with the underworld. This turmoil was inevitable. It didn't affect the underworld, so he couldn't care less. His underworld only cared about ghosts and spirits, and didn't interfere with anything else. The Book of Life and Death has been particularly active recently. The judge told him what he saw and wanted to show it to Yama, but he was rejected. Since this is the evolution of the Book of Life and Death, then just watch. This is the natural evolution of the rules, it's not like it was tampered with by someone. Besides, the Book of Life and Death operates on its own, and no one can change it. The information shown on it is only to inform us of the underworld's actions, and not to control anything. Little judge, fate is not a straight line. It can change direction at any time because of a fork in the road. You don't have to be so fixated on this. It's just that the changes are a little big. There are new changes every day. Don't I feel a little uneasy? There's nothing to worry about. No matter what happens, it won't affect hell. Even if hell were to be affected, it would only be because it was time for hell to change. So far, I'm confident that there's no problem with the governance of hell, and I believe that we should be able to continue for many more years to come. Old Yen, some time ago, I flipped through the Book of Life and Death and found that many people in Qing Yan Kingdom died in natural disasters. These days of continuous large-scale deaths will continue for several years. Because of this matter, our underworld would have been busy for several years. But in these 2 days, the fate of those who were supposed to die in the Book of Life and Death has changed. Currently, most of them have their lifespan extended by a few decades. Peak. Chapter 3674. The judge asked in confusion, "Old Yen, what happened up there that could affect the fates of so many people?" "I've divined that the heavenly secrets are completely concealed. What makes me even more confused is that every time there's chaos in the world of immortals, mortals are the most easily affected. Every time this happens, countless mortals die because of fate, and the underworld can't take it all in. Since you said that the world of immortals wouldn't be peaceful these years, why did fewer people die? Why did the fates of those who were supposed to die change? What's the point of thinking so much? The underworld has fewer ghosts and is more free. Isn't that good?" Yama shook his head and laughed. Yes, he didn't expect that the chaos in the world of immortals would reduce the number of mortals dying. What was the background of that woman? Not only did she grab hold of a chance of survival, but she also changed the fates of so many people. The one on the 18th floor didn't react at all, indicating that he agreed with this matter. He said that the underworld only cared about ghosts and didn't care about other people's business. No matter how curious he was, he didn't plan to investigate. Sky Emperor was a very calculating old man. If he made a mistake, he would easily fall into the other party's trap. It was safer for him to stay in the underworld. "It's good, but it's mainly because I see the changes in the Book of Life and Death every day. My heart is in a mess." "Okay, don't think too much. Take advantage of this free time to cultivate and improve your strength." Seeing that the judge had slowly let go of this matter, Yama didn't say anything more. "There's one more thing, Old Yen, a few immortals are also on the Book of Life and Death. They're already dead. They were beheaded by the Emperor of Qing Yan Kingdom for using demonic spells to cause natural disasters and harm the lives of the people." The judge was conflicted. Will the immortals come looking for trouble? "What trouble? We didn't kill them. Don't worry about it." Yama almost couldn't help but clap his hands and laugh out loud. The Emperor of Qing Yan Kingdom did a good job. He actually beheaded those self-righteous immortals. He had to count on his fingers how many years it had been since such an interesting thing happened. The person behind this was most likely the woman who held on to a chance of survival, right? "Who are they?" Yama asked curiously. As for meeting them, he didn't want to. It was definitely a familiar face. It was best to leave this kind of thing to the impartial judge, lest those guys think that there was still a chance to turn things around. "Count of the Wind, Master of the Rain, God of Plagues." The judge counted out 7 names, which made Yama's eyes twitch. He couldn't help but laugh. "Oh, so it's them." Yama pretended to sigh. In the eyes of the Qingyan Kingdom, they were indeed demons who used demonic magic to create chaos in the Qingyan Kingdom. Killing them is understandable. After all, these disasters came out of nowhere. Does the Book of Life and Death contain any evidence of their rebellion? The infernal judge nodded solemnly. Yes, it's written with reason and evidence. "Old Yen, what's their process?" "We'll go the way we should go, and we'll give the verdict according to the verdict. First, let them go through the life mirror and see if they have made a mistake or not." King Yama said nonchalantly, "Go ahead and do it. With me around, the Celestial Emperor won't dare to ask us for her. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and make the judgment." All right. Since Old Yen had put it this way, the judge also felt that it made sense. The book of life and death wouldn't lie, and the life mirror wouldn't lie either. The process they went through was fair and just, and they definitely wouldn't bend the law for personal gain. Peak. Chapter 3675. Thinking of the Sky Emperor's temperament, the judge left quickly. It was better to let those go through the process early to avoid complications. After Tanggua helped to get rid of Fenghua and other immortals, peace gradually returned to the Qinyan kingdom. Even if there were still some natural disasters in some places. But it would not be like before, where it happened frequently and the people's lives were much better. At this time, there were many rumors about fairies descending to the mortal world to save the people in the Qinyan kingdom. In addition, they made statues of Tanggua and others, and had to worship them every day. The people did not forget the contributions of the emperor of the Qinyan kingdom. There were many songs praising the emperor of the Qinyan kingdom. Of course, Tang Yao, the imperial envoy who helped the people through difficult times, was not forgotten, and many songs were made to praise him. Tang Shushan and his wife not only helped the people through difficult times, but also made their business bigger and bigger, and became famous in the Qinyan kingdom. Regarding the two situation, Tang Yao and the emperor said that their parents were moved by the emperor's help for his sister, so they were willing to stand out when the Qinyan kingdom needed them. This wave of flattery was just right, and the emperor was very happy, not at all caring about the two's title of great benefactors. Tang Shushan and his wife knew a lot, and they did not care about these worldly things. What they wanted was merit, and they wanted Tang Shui and Fu Qing to not get any merit, so as to not let their daughter down. Many places in the Qinyan kingdom were seriously damaged and now needed to be rebuilt. When the couple heard this, they generously donated half of their family property to the court. Ah, they are so considerate. The emperor looked at the box of silver notes in front of him and said to Tang Yao, "Official Tang, you will be in charge of helping the people rebuild their houses." "Yes, Your Majesty." The family Tang trio's actions were equivalent to holding the merit firmly in their hands, and Tang Shui had nothing to do. The one in charge was Tang Yao, and the ones who donated money were Tang Shushan and his wife. Not only did the two donate money, but they also urged others to donate money. Even the emperor was moved and contributed a lot of his own money. Since the emperor donated money, how could the concubines, princes and imperial concubines, and ministers not donate money? Although the emperor did not force them, if they did not express their position at this time, they would be remembered. The emperor wanted to reward Tang Yao with a high position, but Tang Yao declined. The reason for his refusal was that he felt that what he was doing now was what he wanted to do. Because of Tang Yao, the emperor set up a very special position, Great Imperial Envoy, Standard First Rank. They were in charge of the officials who broke the law, while they were in charge of the common people. When they walked among the common people, they were not required to kneel when they saw the emperor. After receiving this special honor, Tang Yao had always maintained his original intention. Everything he did was for the country and the people. Neither power nor wealth could tempt him. The emperor wanted to arrange a marriage for him, but he was rejected. Tang Yao's reason was that he only wanted to serve the country and the people in this life. He wanted to use his flesh and blood to repay the emperor's appreciation. The emperor was very touched. He believed that Tang Yao was a virtuous subject bestowed upon him by the heavens. At first, he had his doubts and doubts. After all, even an emperor would have his doubts. Later on, he saw that Tang Yao wasn't greedy for anything and couldn't stay in the capital. Whenever he was free, he would implement some of his ideas for the country and the people. The main thing was that Tang Yao wasn't really a straightforward person. He knew how to flatter. Every flattery was just right. It was very high level. However, he would not praise the emperor in front of the emperor. Vertex. Chapter 3676. Every time he did something good, he would say that the emperor couldn't bear to see them suffer and specially sent me to help them solve the problem. When the people praised Tang Yao, they wouldn't forget the emperor's contribution. The people's support for the emperor of Qing Yan Kingdom was getting louder and louder, and had long overshadowed Tang Yao's. How could he not be happy? I used to think that Big Brother should be like those scholars and have some pride in his heart. He wouldn't say such flattering words. Tang Yao shook his head with a smile. It's not flattery. I'm just doing what he likes. The emperor is indeed a good emperor. If it weren't for his appreciation, he wouldn't have let me do whatever I want. Getting merits wouldn't have been so smooth. He deserves this reputation. As for the pride of a scholar, it's the most useless thing at this time. It's better to do more practical things. Since the emperor is a good emperor, why don't you praise him more? Tang Yao was determined to do this. Firstly, it was for his younger sister. Secondly, it was because he had such ambitions in the past. Speaking of which, heaven was very kind to him. Is there any movement in the immortal world? As their cultivation advanced, Tang Yao and Tang Shushan also knew that Tang Gua didn't die. They didn't ask why, but attributed it to Tang Gua's fortuitous encounter. It was fortunate that she didn't die, and they only felt happy from the bottom of their hearts. However, Tang Gua still explained to them that she grasped a glimmer of hope at the critical moment of life and death. She obtained the memories of her past life and received guidance from an expert. It meant that some things had actually happened. She chose to hide some truths and didn't tell anyone. The Tang family also asked about her original fate, and Tang Gua answered them one by one. After listening, they were even more resentful than before. If Tang Gua hadn't grasped a glimmer of hope at the last moment and was rescued, history would repeat itself. From then on, their family would have no chance to reunite. The reason why Tang Yao asked about the immortal world was that when Tang Gua captured Feng Gua and handed him over to the emperor, the immortal world would definitely make a move. It was said that 1 year in the human world was 1 day in the immortal world. Now that many years had passed in the human world and several days had passed in the immortal world, they should know about this matter. Not yet, but soon. It would be strange if the immortal world did not do anything when several immortal gods were executed by the emperor. Father, mother, big brother, when that group of immortals comes down to cause trouble, they will definitely use those mortals as an example when they know that the emperor executed Count of Wind and the others. I've already arranged for people to stand guard in various places. If there's a natural disaster, they'll stop it in time. In addition, Ao Yen has already contacted his friends. They are currently hiding in various places. When the day comes, they will all take action. Tang Yao was shocked at first, but after hearing Tang Gua's words, he breathed a sigh of relief. That's good. He couldn't help but sneer in his heart. Those immortals and gods were really interesting. Just because of a disagreement, he would make an example out of mortals like them. Indeed, mortals were weak and easy to bully. Dear host, Qi Shao has appeared in the group. He should have completed the task you asked him to do. The system reminded him. All right. Tang Gua told the 3 of them that she was going to cultivate and return to her room. School beauty, big brother Qi Shao. Qi Shao, sister, the magic treasures you asked me to refine have all been refined. 200,000 offensive magic treasures and 200,000 defensive magic treasures. Ziyun, sister, the pills you asked me to refine have also been completed. It's enough for 200,000 people to use for a year. For this, they mobilized all the people in the sect. Peek, you're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.